Chapter 1. First of all, each stage was divided into 9 levels. Third level of the mortal realm: warrior, obvious strength; warlord, inward strength; war god, transforming strength. War god stage: Dantian cyclone. The cyclone would condense into a star core. Third level of the star realm: star core, meteor, comet. Third level of the eternal realm: satellite, planet, star. The black hole stage was a special stage. It was a watershed for martial artists. Third level of the nightmare realm: constellation, galaxy, domain king. Chapter 2. In October, the northern land was covered in snow. The sky was white. At the end of the wilderness, a big city was built. The city walls were 100 meters high and tens of meters thick. The top of the city walls was wide enough for 2 large trucks to run side by side. The city walls were made of reinforced concrete. Within a few thousand meters of the city walls, there were countless landmines. On the city walls, there were countless metal cannons extending outwards. Even below the city walls, there was concrete. Hundreds of tons of alloy iron gates sealed the city, forming an almost indestructible fortress. No matter if it was in the sky, on the ground, or underground, it was all armed to the teeth. The city stretched for hundreds of miles. This was the largest base city in the northern part of China. During the Christian era, this place was called Harbin. After the gods' alteration, it was called Ice City. After the recovery of China, it was developed and built into a bridgehead in the war between humans and mutated beasts. Number 6 High School was located in the northern part of Ice City. There were thousands of students in the school. Today was the last class for the 3rd year of high school. Next will be the graduation exam. The teacher in charge of the 3rd class stood on the podium and gave a lecture. Today is the last class for all of you. 3 days later, the graduation exam will be held. In the morning, you will be tested for cultural studies, and in the afternoon, you will be tested for physical fitness. This day will determine your future. The results will be out then. At that time, the military and various martial arts schools will be recruiting you. Whether you can get the attention of those martial arts schools and your future will depend on this day. As your teacher, I wish you good luck. After the teacher finished his lecture, he packed up and left the classroom. The school was over. The students filed out of the classroom, but many of them did not leave the campus immediately. The students still had feelings for the school and wanted to leave their last memories here. The students who were familiar with each other gathered in 2s and 3s to talk about their future. I'm so nervous. The graduation exam is coming. I don't want to go to university. I want to be a martial artist. I'm not worried about the cultural studies, but what about the physical fitness tests? My punch is less than 150 kilograms. No martial arts school will be willing to accept me. Although my punch has reached 200 kilograms, which is the entry level for a level 2 fighter, my punching speed is 5 punches per second, which is still not up to standard. Am I going to become a soldier? There should still be room for improvement at 5. If I pass the cultural class, as long as my reflexes reach 0. 1. I should still be able to enter the dojo. Besides, it's not impossible for me to enter the military. The number of martial artists in the military is no less than those in the dojo. That's because the military base is large. Moreover, the true experts all come from dojos. For example, China's number 1 expert, Lai Feng. His Lai Feng dojo is the number 1 dojo in China. Even in my dreams, I want to become a Lai Feng warrior. Lai Feng, don't even think about it. Even Changfeng and Tulong aren't places that ordinary people can enter. I think that in our class, only Ouyang Yu, Meng Dong, and Lin Jun have hope. These are the 3 carriages of our class. Ouyang Yu and Meng Dong are okay, but I'm afraid Lin Jun is a bit lacking. I heard that he offended Ouyang Yu because of our school beauty and Ning. Ouyang Yu said that he won't let Lin Jun enter any dojo. No way, the dojo will listen to Ouyang Yu? Some students didn't believe it. It's hard to say. Ouyang Yu's family is very powerful. His father is an official in the base city. As long as Lin Jun's results aren't heaven-defying, the average dojo will still give him face. Is that so? Then Lin Jun is in danger. His results are only a little above the passing line. Hey, where's Lin Jun? How come I don't see him? I remember he was here just now. A few boys who were chatting looked left and right, only to see a figure walking far away. It was Lin Jun. Lin Jun's black eyes flashed. His pace was very fast. He had forgotten how long it had been since he walked so fast. Although his body was still very weak, his blood was boiling. His whole body was full of energy. The heavens favored him. When his lifespan reached its end, a black hole appeared in the universe. Space collapsed and time reversed. His soul returned to Earth on the eve of his high school graduation. In his previous life, Lin Jun had wholeheartedly practiced martial arts. He hoped that one day he could change his fate and change the fate of his family. But fate had never truly favored him. Although his talent wasn't bad, he couldn't be considered a true genius. In addition, he was born a commoner and lacked resources. His martial arts career was incomparably difficult, and every step he took wasn't smooth. Either he didn't have any talent at all and obediently lived as an ordinary person, or he became a genius. For martial artists like Lin Jun at the bottom, it was too difficult for him to stand out. He had been crushed by countless geniuses in his life and had become their stepping stones. Although he was smart, his achievements were still limited. Until the end of the divine transformation, Lin Jun was still alive. But he had been living a sullen life. His hopes of realizing his worth and taking care of his family had all been shattered. He had lived for so long because he was able to endure. Even though some geniuses had died and he was still alive, this wasn't what he wanted. After the end of the divine transformation, Earth underwent a second great change. Humanity began to leave Earth and migrate to the stars. In the end, he even successfully broke through to the mortal realm and reached the star realm. He could be considered to have survived in the stars. But that was only the beginning of another tragedy. Lin Jun continued to live at the bottom, suppressed by countless geniuses. He would never be able to stand out. It was only when he failed to break through to the next realm and his lifespan was exhausted and he was on the verge of death that he realized something. In his life, he had always been cautious and cautious. He had always placed safety first. Although he had lived for a long time, he had never been able to take another step forward. This wasn't the path of a martial artist. He had walked the wrong path from the very beginning. If he had the chance to start over, he would seize every opportunity and use every resource he had to walk down a path to the heavens. To be a martial artist was to defy the will of the heavens. If one chose to be mediocre, then they shouldn't practice martial arts. This was Lin Jun's realization before he died. He believed that he had realized this far too late. Everything was over, and he wouldn't have the chance to start over again. Before he closed his eyes, he saw the curtain of the heavens open. The tides of the heavens reversed, a space-time storm wreaked havoc, and a black hole appeared in the universe. He felt as if his soul was about to be torn apart by the energy of the black hole. But when he opened his eyes, he found himself in a high school classroom. He was still Lin Jun. He was still alive. He brought with him all of his memories and returned to Earth. He had returned to the age he most wished to return to. When Lin Jun walked out of the classroom, he still couldn't believe what he was seeing. But everything around him told him that everything was real. He had returned. I haven't seen my family in a long, long time. I'm back. The girl I love, I'm back. Chapter 3. The Northern Bay City was a rectangle that was 100 miles long and 80 miles wide. The Northern District took up 1/5 of the city's area, but it housed half of the city's population. It was a typical civilian district. In the Bay City, where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold, those who lived in bungalows were the rich, and those who lived in skyscrapers were the poor. In order to make the most of the space, the civilian district was filled with square buildings that were dozens of stories high. Every family lived in a small space. No matter how crowded it was, people would not leave the Bay City, because if they left the high walls of the Bay City, it would be a world where monsters ran rampant. It was a forbidden area for ordinary people, and only powerful martial artists could survive outside. Lin Jun walked through a small alley. Based on his memory, he quickly found the building where his family lived. This building is 30 stories high. To save space and electricity, there are no elevators. The higher you go, the poorer you are. My family lives on the 28th floor. Dad, Lin Lie should be home by now. He usually sells breakfast downstairs, but now he's probably at home preparing soy milk and buns for tomorrow. Mom should be doing handicrafts. She doesn't have a job, so she can only rely on her handmade embroidery to make some money. Her income is pitifully low. Their income is all used to pay for my education. Lin Jun walked into the dim corridor and walked up to the 28th floor. In my past life, in order to get my parents to move out of the slums, I practiced martial arts like crazy. Although I passed the high school entrance exam, Ouyang Yu hindered me and delayed my admission to the Azure Sky Dojo for half a year. A year later, my parents left the district. At that time, my parents were already sick from exhaustion, and they haven't recovered since. This time, it won't be the same as last time, Lin Jun thought as he arrived at the door. It had been a long time since he saw his parents, and Lin Jun was a little excited. However, he quickly calmed down. After all, he had lived for a long time, and his mental age was too old. He had seen too many things, so he wouldn't lose control of his emotions. He felt in his pocket, and an ancient key appeared in his hand. This kind of anti-theft door is said to be a product from the Christian era. It can only be used to defend against ordinary people. Anyone who knows a little about picking locks can open it. It can only be used in the slums. The rich families have already used the advanced sensor door developed by the Bay City's Ministry of Science and Technology. He inserted the key into the keyhole and opened the door. The aroma of food wafted out. In the cramped little house, his father, Lin Jun, was using an old-fashioned soy milk machine to make soy milk. This machine, in Lin Jun's eyes, was so old that it seemed toothless. However, it was the family's hope. Without this machine, it would be difficult for Lin Jun to even complete his basic studies. His mother was using a gas stove to cook. There was a carp stewing in the pot. Lin Jun knew that his mother had exchanged her embroidery for this fish. The two elders were reluctant to eat it. "Dad, Mom, I'm back." Lin Jun tried to smile. "My son is back. Hurry and wash your hands. Your mother is cooking fish. Dinner is about to be served." Lin Lie greeted his son with a smile. His son was the hope of their family. Although Lin Lie hoped that Lin Jun would become a military researcher, he knew that his son wanted to become a martial artist. His mother, Li Qin, walked over and took the initiative to take off Lin Jun's outer clothes. "You must be tired. Rest well. The exam is about to start. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. The family can still survive." "Mom, Dad, don't worry. I'm fine. The exam is a piece of cake for me." Lin Jun quickly returned to normal. He smiled and took off his shoes. He wanted to help his parents, but his parents didn't allow him to do anything. They told him to clean up first. The house was only 40 square meters. The living room, kitchen, and his parents' room were actually the same. There was also a small bathroom and a small bedroom. That was Lin Jun's personal space. After returning to his house, Lin Jun lay down on the hard bed and grinned. Although martial artists had suffered all kinds of hardships, he hadn't slept on a bed like this for a long time. He wasn't used to it. There was still a while before dinner. The first thing Lin Jun did was examine his own situation. Lin Jun still remembered the specifics of when he graduated from high school. His cultural studies were good, and his cultural studies weren't too difficult. He studied history, including the history of the Common Era. After that was God Change Day and God Change Calendar. Memorizing all the major events that happened after that wasn't too difficult for Lin Jun. There was also the knowledge of mutated beasts. Lin Jun understood this better than anyone else. The most important thing was the statistics of the body. After graduating from high school, the various dojos had strict standards for recruiting students. The three statistics of the body were fist strength, fist speed, and reflexes. The passing standard for fist strength was 200 kilograms. This was the admission line. Anyone below this standard wouldn't be able to pass. As for fist speed, it required 5 punches with no less than 80% of one's maximum strength per second to pass. If your punching strength was 200 kilograms, then you had to deliver 5 punches with a force of no less than 160 kilograms in a second. Only then would you be considered to have passed and be considered to have an effective punch. Reflexes referred to the ability to dodge and attack. 0.1 seconds was the passing standard. If you couldn't react within this time, then you wouldn't be able to pass. The dojos recruited disciples based on these three basic standards. If you passed all three, then you would be accepted by the dojos. Cultural studies were only supplementary. Of course, you couldn't be too ignorant. If you didn't pass any of the standards, then there was a chance that you would be accepted by the dojos. Lin Jun remembered that his left fist was 206 kilograms and his right fist was 232 kilograms. His fist speed was 5.3/m, and his reflexes were 0.96. They were both barely passing. It was because of this that although he passed the standards, he didn't receive much attention from the dojos. This allowed Ouyang Yu to succeed. If he was talented enough, then no matter how much Ouyang Yu tried to obstruct him, it would be useless. If I want to change my fate, then I have to do something during this graduation exam. I can't let Ouyang Yu succeed again. There's still 3 days. In 3 days, I have to increase my strength. At the very least, I have to reach the point where the dojos won't listen to Ouyang Yu. This is the most basic. As for Ouyang Yu, I'll play with him this time. Chapter 4. In his previous life, Lin Jun's talent could be considered above average, but his luck was too bad and he didn't do as he wished. However, there was a reason why he was able to live for so long. In addition to being cautious, there was also a period where he rose to prominence because of his spiritual force. There was an extremely special existence among martial artists called a spirit reader. Spiritual force was also a type of power. In layman's terms, it was called psychokinesis. If one wanted to find a reason, it would be because people with extremely developed brains were called psychics during the Christian era. However, at that time, there was no systematic cultivation method, so psychics had no place to use their abilities. It wasn't until the God transformation era that psychic power was gradually developed and became an extremely powerful existence among martial artists. Psychic power had a wide range of uses. Psychics could use psychic power to twist metal spoons, control knives in the air, and move objects. After martial artists developed psychic power, their psychic power would become even more powerful and could be used in battle to produce many miraculous effects. Lin Jun was a spirit reader. However, his psychic power wasn't very strong, and he hid it well. He only discovered that he had psychic power after being stimulated several times. In his previous life, even though he had developed psychic power, Lin Jun's strength was basically fixed and couldn't bring about a complete qualitative change. This time, Lin Jun knew that he had psychic power and he could use it to his advantage. Once psychic power was developed, it could greatly increase his reaction speed. This was one of the reasons why spirit readers were more powerful than ordinary martial artists. It was unrealistic for ordinary warriors to take the initiative to develop their spiritual force. This was because unless there was something special about their spiritual force, there was a 99% chance that they would become an idiot if they took the initiative to develop their spiritual force. Therefore, no one would do that. Lin Jun was different. He had already confirmed that he had psychic power, so he could develop it without worry. For this kind of thing, the sooner it was developed, the better. The sooner it was developed, the higher its growth potential would be in the future. Lin Jun had just graduated from high school and wasn't even 17 years old. If he could develop psychic power, then he would become a powerful spirit reader in the future. Developing psychic power required some things that could be purchased online. Although his family wasn't well off, Lin Jun still had a computer in his home that he could use to surf the net. The old computer took a long time to turn on. Lin Jun couldn't stand the fact that it still used technology from the AD era. After turning on the computer, Lin Jun tried to recall and tried a few more times before he found his original account. The computers here could only connect to the Northern Area Network. After God Change Day, most of the satellites had become dust in the universe. Only the warrior forums had the function of connecting to the other base cities. Ordinary people could only use the signal towers in the base cities and the Northern Area Network of Ice City. Bing City had a population of about 30 million people. There were 20 million people in the main city and 3 satellite cities. Each city had about 3 million people. Among them, the number of people online was between 8 million to 10 million. Everyone who went online had their own unique account, so scams on the internet were rare. The base city also had very strict laws, so few people dared to break the law. Lin Jun's username was Lin Jun. After logging into his account, he first checked his wealth. There were about 5,500 renminbi in his account. This was a large amount of wealth. The main source of this wealth was Lin Jun's scholarship. Although it wasn't a lot, it was still useful. Otherwise, his family wouldn't be able to afford it. Even if Lin Jun had the advantage of being reborn, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Lin Jun opened the online shopping mall. Nowadays, online shopping was very popular. He walked around the stores and often made some unexpected discoveries. Lin Jun browsed through the stores in the mall. He was looking for something. To develop psychic power, he needed psychic power potions. But psychic power potions were the same as the genetic potions needed to become a martial artist. They were very rare. Although they were not as expensive as genetic potions, they were still not easy to buy. At least, Lin Jun's 5,000 renminbi didn't even qualify him to take a look. The official price of a psychic power potion was about 7 million to 8 million renminbi. The price on the black market was at least 5 million renminbi. Although it was not as expensive as the genetic potions needed to become a martial artist, Lin Jun still couldn't afford it. So he wanted to buy a cheap one. In his memory, there was a post on the forum on the eve of his high school graduation exam. The moderator of the post was a rich man's son. He thought the goddess he was pursuing needed a bottle of psychic power potion, so he immediately bought it and sent it to her. But she didn't need it and didn't accept his good intentions. The rich man felt embarrassed and posted on the forum, auctioning the 5 million renminbi worth of psychic power potion for 100 renminbi to prove his love for his goddess. He even took a screenshot of the picture. This matter was hotly discussed for several days. At the same time, people said that the rich man was stupid and envied who was so lucky to buy 1 million RMB worth of psychic power potion for 100 renminbi. Although he wasn't sure whether it was true or not, Lin Jun wanted to try and see if he was lucky enough to seize such an opportunity. His hands were very fast. He browsed back and forth in the various shops in the North Market, and he kept refreshing the forum posts. If he remembered correctly, the post about the psychic power potion had appeared today, but he couldn't remember the specific time. Instead, it was some other post that gradually awakened Lin Jun's long-buried memories and made him start to think about the real world. He wanted to reintegrate into this era. Taken on the North City Wall, the golden-crowned red-eyed eagle is as big as a fighter jet. There is a picture to prove it. The paw of the beast king of Xioxingen Ridge, the giant palm bear, has appeared in the northwest of the oil city. Martial artists have already gone to encircle it. Students of the Tianfeng Martial Arts School are dominating the small market in the south of the city, whereas the supervisor of the base city. A martial artist's privilege can't be above the law. Songhua River is full of monsters and bridges are broken. Who is to blame? Lin Jun smiled when he saw the familiar posts. Yes, this is the era. He was familiar with everything in this era. With these memories, he was fully capable of making a name for himself here. After a while, Li Qin's voice came from the living room. Lin Jun, come and eat. Lin Jun put down his computer and went to the living room. His parents had already prepared the meal. Although this meal was simple, it was very meaningful to Lin Jun. He had seen his parents again, and that was the most important thing. Lin Jun's behavior and words had surprised his parents. Lin Jun had grown up, and this made them look forward to the future even more. After the meal, Lin Jun went back to his room. He hoped that he wouldn't miss an opportunity during this short meal time. As soon as he sat down and refreshed the forum 3 times, Lin Jun suddenly saw a post. My goddess Ning, this potion is my gift to you. If you don't want it, I'd rather give it to a fated person. Millions of dollars can't compare to your beautiful smile. The name was Meteor Shower. F***CK. I know who this guy is. Others didn't know who Meteor Shower was, but Lin Jun knew clearly. Chapter 5. Lin Jun's eyes lit up. In that instant, he thought of many things. Back then, no one knew whether the deal had been made or not. Most people believed that the poster had taken the goods off the shelves after taking a screenshot. This process could have been completed in less than a minute. From taking a screenshot to posting on the forum, there had to be a delay. This was the current rigid rule of the internet. The time limit was 1 minute. After 1 minute, the goods could be taken off the shelves, but they couldn't be taken off the shelves within that time limit. This post had just appeared. Lin Jun had only seen it for 7 seconds. Others might have trouble finding a stall because the poster had chosen a secondary name. Lin Jun's username was Lin Jun. This was because he hadn't changed his name yet. He was using his ID. Apart from his real name, he could also use a secondary name. Posting under a secondary name and setting up a stall under your real name was a common trick. It was difficult for others to find your stall quickly. Lin Jun later found out that Ouyang Yu's secondary name was Meteor Shower, but he didn't associate it with this matter. Now that he thought about it, it wasn't strange for Ouyang Yu to do something like this. In order to pursue a Ning, Ouyang Yu had put in a lot of effort. Normally, he was like a peacock with its tail spread, showing off his muscles and his family's wealth, hoping to gain a Ning's favor. In his previous life, Lin Jun didn't manage to pursue a Ning, but Ouyang Yu didn't succeed either. And Ning didn't care about Ouyang Yu at all. This guy was just hot-headed. Although Ouyang Yu was very good at showing off, he wasn't an idiot. At this moment, Lin Jun was sure that Ouyang Yu would soon take the goods off the shelves. It was even possible that the name Meteor Shower was just given to him to prevent others from buying his potions in this 1 minute. Lin Jun didn't hesitate. He immediately opened the school's communication group and found Ouyang Yu's profile picture. He clicked on the profile picture. The location of the stall was immediately displayed. Looking at the coordinates, it was in a hidden corner of the market. However, this wasn't difficult for Lin Jun, who knew the location. 3 seconds later, Lin Jun found Ouyang Yu's stall. He clicked on it and opened it. The items on the shelf appeared. In the middle of a row of useless potions, there was a bottle of mental power potion, priced at $100. It was placed together with the surrounding bottles. If one didn't pay special attention, it would be hard to notice. Purchase. Instant kill. The buyer requested to entrust the Internet Surveillance Bureau to collect the goods. Shopping on the internet was protected. Even warriors could not violate this rule. A purchase was a purchase. The serial number of the potion was automatically recorded. After the buyer paid the fee, they could request the Internet Surveillance Bureau to pick up the goods. The Internet Surveillance Bureau would arrive at the designated location within 3 minutes and deliver it to the buyer within 10 minutes. Of course, there was a fee. The Internet Surveillance Bureau was a global organization. It was an independent organization jointly sponsored by the base cities, the military, and the top-ranked dojos in the world. It was extremely powerful. No matter if the buyer or seller wanted to go back on their word, the Internet Surveillance Bureau would guarantee that their interests would not be harmed. After finishing all this, Lin Jun looked at his watch. It had taken 30 seconds. Pah! Lin Jun snapped his fingers. Perfect. Originally, Lin Jun wanted to deal with Ouyang Yu. He didn't expect God to be so cooperative and give him such a good opportunity. Lin Jun felt a burst of joy in his heart. Who asked you to pretend and show off? Although 5 million wasn't a lot, Ouyang Yu's family was an official, not a businessman. 5 million wasn't a small sum. This was enough to make him suffer. However, Lin Jun was a little more careful. He gave himself a secondary name, Xinghe. Then, he displayed the secondary name. This way, Ouyang Yu wouldn't know who had bought his mental power potion. The Internet Surveillance Bureau's delivery person arrived very quickly. 8 minutes later, there was a knock on Lin Jun's door. Lin Jun opened the door to receive the goods. His parents only took a glance and didn't ask any questions. In their eyes, Lin Jun, who was about to graduate from high school and had good grades, was the real head of the family. He was the future of the family. The two of them were people who depended on their son to survive. Lin Jun brought the goods back to his room. It was a simple box. Inside it was a glass bottle about 10 centimeters long. The unopened glass bottle was vacuum sealed. The serial seal couldn't be faked. Mental power potion, a necessary item for a spirit reader's awakening. It's extracted from the genes of mutated beasts that are good at mind control. The price of this bottle is currently 5 million, but according to what I know, it will increase. In half a month, it will become 7 million. Awakening one's mental power, in addition to greatly increasing one's reflexes, can also slightly increase one's strength and speed. This is the fastest way to increase one's strength before the graduation exam. The process of increasing one's mental power required some time. Before Lin Jun increased his mental power, he specially informed his parents that he would be cultivating indoors for 2 days. During this time, they didn't need to worry. After his parents agreed, Lin Jun first slept. The next morning, he ate his fill and felt better than ever. Then he picked up the mental power potion and drank it. A cool feeling entered his stomach and instantly turned into a burning sensation. It traveled through his limbs and bones and entered Lin Jun's mind. Lin Jun had experienced an increase in his mental power before. He was no stranger to this feeling. He only gently clenched his teeth and endured the piercing pain. The mental power potion was also a type of genetic medicine. It was a high-tech product. By constantly stimulating one's mind, it could awaken one's hidden mental power. For people with higher talent, they could fully awaken their mental power in a few hours. For people with lower talent, it might take 3 to 5 days to fully awaken. In his previous life, Lin Jun took a full 48 hours to awaken. His talent was considered average. However, this time, Lin Jun discovered during the awakening process that his mental power seemed to have increased compared to his previous life. It probably had something to do with the rebirth of his soul. In his mind, a ball of green energy with traces of silver hidden slowly appeared. Lin Jun knew that it was mental power. The strength of mental power was divided into several stages. The initial stage was green and was classified as bronze-level mental power. As one's cultivation gradually increased, it would evolve into silver level, then gold level, dark gold level, purple gold level, and diamond level. Lin Jun didn't know what was above diamond level. In fact, he had never seen anyone with diamond level mental power. The highest he had seen in his previous life was dark gold level mental power. In his previous life, his mental power had only reached high silver level. When he awakened, it was only low bronze level. However, in this life, when he awakened, he had high bronze level mental power and was beginning to transform into silver level mental power. This was undoubtedly a huge improvement. He could be described as a genius spirit reader. It's actually high bronze level mental power, and there are signs of silver transformation. With such a high starting point, I will definitely become a powerful spirit reader in this life. When his mental power had fully awakened and the potion's effect had completely disappeared, Lin Jun opened his eyes. Chapter 6. After awakening his spiritual force, Lin Jun looked at the time. It only took him 9 hours. Within 10 hours, one could be described as a genius. 9 hours was very outstanding, especially since Lin Jun was not yet 17 years old. It could be said that he awakened very early. Generally, martial artists would first take genetic medicine to improve their physique. The awakening of spiritual force was not necessarily the same. However, the earlier it was awakened, the higher their future achievements. In the next 2 days, Lin Jun stayed at home to adapt to his spiritual force. With the experience of his previous life, this process was not difficult. After 2 days, Lin Jun's spiritual force had completely stabilized. As long as he practiced diligently, his spiritual force would gradually improve. Soon, it was the day of the graduation exam. Lin Jun left home and went to school. When he arrived at the school, it was already bustling with people. All kinds of luxury cars were parked on the campus. Just as he arrived at the school gate, a person appeared in front of Lin Jun. "Lin Jun, you're here." Lin Jun looked up and saw a tall and strong boy over 9 meters tall, standing in front of him with a simple and honest smile on his face. Lin Jun smiled. His good friend from school, Meng Dong, was a very good boy with a very good talent in martial arts. He was familiar with Lin Jun since childhood and was his good friend in school. Meng Dong was born with great strength. Lin Jun knew that in this graduation exam, Meng Dong was selected by the Gale Martial Arts School and became a student. In the future, he became an official martial artist in less than 2 months. He was very famous in the northern region. Lin Jun only entered one Azure Sky martial arts school in this graduation exam. In addition, Lin Jun's status was low due to Ouyang Yu's interference. He and Meng Dong widened the gap. Feeling inferior in his heart, Lin Jun did not contact Meng Dong anymore. In the future, the two people gradually drifted apart. Lin Jun was also happy to see his old friend. He went up and patted Meng Dong on the shoulder. Dongzi, you came so early today. It seems that you are full of confidence. Meng Dong scratched his head. Lin Jun, I'm telling you, but don't tell anyone else. Actually, I was so nervous that I didn't sleep well last night. What if I didn't perform well and didn't get selected? My parents will be very disappointed. They're still waiting for me to earn money to buy them a big house. Don't worry too much. I think you'll definitely be chosen by Gale this time. Meng Dong grinned from ear to ear. If I'm really chosen by Lai Feng, I'll treat you to a feast. Let's go eat roasted wild boar. No, you'll have to join Lai Feng Dojo first. I'll try my best. Lin Jun smiled. He knew that his strength had improved a lot, but he didn't know the specifics. His family didn't have the means to test it, so he could only find out during the graduation exam. How's your preparation for the cultural class this morning? At the very least, make sure you pass. Lin Jun reminded Meng Dong. Don't worry, I've memorized most of it. The two chatted as they walked. Suddenly, Lin Jun stopped in his tracks. A beautiful figure appeared in front of him. Her hair was like silk, and her features were picturesque. She was so young, but she already had a charm that could make people fall for her. Her beautiful eyes twinkled as she looked at Lin Jun. Lin Jun, it's a Ning. She's looking at you. Meng Dong smiled a little obscenely. As a good friend, Meng Dong knew about Lin Jun's feelings for a Ning. He also hoped that his friend could get what he wanted. After being reborn, Lin Jun only felt a faint joy in his heart when he saw the girl he liked. This feeling of being separated from him for a lifetime was something that people who had never experienced before would never understand. Lin Jun, how's your preparation? Ning asked. Her voice was crisp and clear, like pearls falling on a jade plate. It's okay. I don't have any psychological pressure. Lin Jun replied with a smile. That's good. As long as you perform normally, entering a dojo shouldn't be a problem. However, you have to be careful. I heard that. Ning wanted to say something, but stopped. Lin Jun smiled slightly. It's okay. I'm confident. These dojos have a high status. That definitely won't be able to cover the sky with one hand, just because someone says so. Ning nodded, knowing that Lin Jun understood her meaning. At this time, another boy walked over. His long hair was a little messy, and there was a faint red handprint on his handsome face. It seemed to have been left 2 days ago, but it still hadn't completely faded. It was obvious that the person who slapped him was very angry. The boy was Ouyang Yu. There were 3 people in the 3rd class who were more popular. They were Ouyang Yu, Meng Dong, and Lin Jun. They were known as the 3 chariots of the 3rd class. Lin Jun was the last, and Ouyang Yu was the first. He had always been in the limelight at school. Ouyang Yu came to Ning's side and said softly, "And Ning, why are you here? I've been looking for you everywhere, and there are people from the Dragon Slaying Dojo over there. Uncle Zhang has a good relationship with my father. I'll introduce him to you. He's a very famous person in our base city's martial arts circle." And Ning frowned slightly. Why would your father's friend introduce him to me? We're just ordinary classmates. There's no need for that. And Ning, don't you understand my feelings? Did you see the post I posted the night before yesterday? I'm not trying to show off. I just want to prove my feelings for you. For you, money is like dirt in my eyes. Nonsense. What you want to do is your business. It has nothing to do with me. Also, I hate wasteful people. What you're doing is simply childish. And Ning said bluntly to Ouyang Yu. Meng Dong and Lin Jun watched from the side with smiles on their faces. Their gloating looks were very annoying. Ouyang Yu was annoyed, but he couldn't vent his anger on Ning. He immediately pointed his gun at Lin Jun. Lin Jun, I remember I warned you to stay away from Ning. Are you ignoring my words? Lin Jun's face suddenly turned cold. Ouyang Yu, you think too highly of yourself. Meng Dong also clenched his fists. Ouyang Yu, do you want to try? Everyone says you're the number 1 in class 3, but I really don't accept it. Facing Meng Dong and Lin Jun, Ouyang Yu was a bit timid. He was more famous than the two of them, but in terms of strength, he didn't dare say he could suppress Meng Dong. As for Lin Jun, although he was confident he could win, He didn't know why Lin Jun's eyes were so sharp that he didn't dare to look directly at him. Plus, the graduation exam was approaching, so he didn't want to cause more trouble. Good. Lin Jun, you've got guts. Remember what I said. With your grades, you don't have the qualifications to join a good dojo. Even if a small dojo accepts you, I still have a way to make you penniless. Haha, you're relying on your father's power to act like a tyrant, but there's still a palm print on your face. It's really funny when you say those words. Lin Jun laughed and turned to Meng Dong. Meng Dong, if a prodigal brat sold something worth $5 million for $100, what would you do if you were that brat's father? Although Meng Dong was straightforward, he and Lin Jun had worked together for many years and had a tacit understanding. He immediately waved his hand. Then I'd definitely slap that brat. I should have flushed him away in the sewers back then. Lin Jun couldn't help but laugh. This brat Meng Dong was really to his liking. Sure enough, Ouyang Yu's face turned ashen. The slap on his face was from his father. He didn't dare to tell anyone about this blunder, but he didn't expect Lin Jun to know about it. Lin Jun, you'll pay the price for what you've said now. Just wait and see. Ouyang Yu didn't have the face to stay any longer. He turned around and left in a sorry state. Chapter 7. Soon, the morning exam began. The first subject was History of God Change. The God Change calendar started counting years from the day of the God Change. It was now the year 986 of the God Change calendar, which had a history of nearly 1,000 years. Lin Jun was very familiar with this history. 986 years ago, it was still the year 2026 of the Christian calendar. A meteor shower from the constellation Leo descended on Earth. The people who were watching the meteor shower in high spirits soon noticed something strange. These meteors were different from the flashes of light that streaked across the sky. They were heading straight for Earth. Tens of thousands of meteors crashed into the Earth's surface. There were even more meteors before they entered the atmosphere, smashing most of the communication satellites into pieces. The largest meteor had a diameter of several hundred kilometers. This process caused natural disasters. Landslides, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, and countless other disasters followed one after another. Earth had no power to resist. Humans cried out in grief during the disaster. Earth's population also decreased sharply, from a peak of 7 billion to 3 billion. After the disaster, the people who were preparing to rebuild their homes were shocked to find that Earth had undergone a huge change. All life forms, whether they were humans, animals, or even plants, were infected by an unknown gas and changed. Humans' potential increased, and they began to become more powerful. Some people could jump onto roofs, some could move cars with their bare hands, and some could even control bullets to fly. The changes to animals were even more shocking. The small insects died immediately, while the slightly larger ones evolved and gained all kinds of abilities. Their bodies also underwent a huge change. Rats became the size of wild dogs, and they chased humans in groups to devour them. Sparrows and swallows became the size of eagles, and they also began to devour flesh. Fish in the water grew sharp teeth and could even go ashore. As for the animals that were once large, they were even more terrifying. Pythons that were dozens of meters long could swallow cars, and eagles in the sky became the size of fighter jets. Even real fighter jets were no match for them. Tigers in the forest could overturn tanks, and tall bears couldn't even be killed by cannonballs. Moreover, the intelligence of these beasts had greatly evolved, and they began to attack humans in groups. From then on, the battle between humans and beasts began. Humans had once been forced to the point where they practically had no room for survival. Firearms were less and less effective against monsters. It was only when humans perfected the martial arts system and powerful fighters appeared non-stop that the situation gradually turned around. Today, there were less than 2 billion people on Earth. Most of the countries have been completely destroyed. Only China, America, the European Union, the African Union, India, Russia, and Brazil still existed. Of course, these countries were also filled with foreigners. For example, in the Indian region, there were people from many countries, including the Christian calendar. People from all ethnic groups gathered together, but the Indians were the dominant group. Furthermore, each country did not have as large a territory as before. People were holed up in their respective base cities, barely managing to survive. The land, sky, and sea of the past were all monsters' playground. People began to believe in the existence of the gods. The evolution of mankind was the grace of the gods, and the predicament of mankind was the might of the gods. Therefore, on the day of the Leonid meteor shower, people named it the Day of Divine Change. For the last 1,000 years of the divine transformation era, countless wars had occurred and countless heroic deeds had been recorded. Historical knowledge was rich and had officially become a subject of study. Lin Jun sat in the exam room, writing rapidly. The day of Northern Base Establishment. Year 475 of the Divine Change era, the hero Yin Qie slew the Red Flame Tiger King in Shaoxing and Mountain. He also worked with the Gun King Chun Chong to kill the monster in the heavenly lake of Chongbai Mountain, ensuring that the northern base was not lost. Year 398 of the Divine Change era, the epic-making genetic evolution fluid was successfully developed. Every warrior had to undergo genetic evolution, and the effect of the evolution depended on the individual's talent. Year 622 of the Divine Change era, the first war between humans broke out. The War of the Black Sea between Russia and the European Union. Many warlords participated in the war. Lin Jun answered one question after another. About half an hour later, he put down his pen. I'm done. I can't say I got full marks on this paper, but I got at least 95. Although cultural studies are not that important anymore, I can't ignore them. Ignorance is not a good thing. After finishing the history exam, Lin Jun left the exam room. He ate something on the way and saw Meng Dong again. Meng Dong didn't seem to do very well, but Lin Jun knew that he passed, so he wasn't worried. Soon, the next exam began. There were only 2 subjects in cultural studies. The second subject was mutant beasts. If one wanted to become a warrior, they had to have some understanding of mutant beasts. Although it was suspicious of being an armchair strategist, if you didn't even know the basics, then you'd be the first one to die when facing a mutant beast in the future. Lin Jun dared to say that even the teachers in the school couldn't compare to him in terms of understanding of this subject. After all, Lin Jun had experienced too many things and killed too many mutant beasts with his own hands to count. Mutant sheep, low-level mutant beast. Classified as E-class. Relatively low intelligence. Attacks mainly by ramming. Able to resist handgun-type firearms. The best way to attack is to cover it with heavy firepower. Recommended for warriors to kill it from a side. Weak point is its abdomen. Mutant wild boar, D-class mutant beast. Strong resistance to firearms. No obvious weak point. Recommended to attack from below its neck. Best effect is to cut the blood vessels. Mutant owl, C-class mutant beast. Fast speed. Appears at night. This time, Lin Jun was even more proficient in answering the questions. Very quickly, he finished the test and left the examination hall. After a while, Meng Dong came out. The 2 of them waited for the exam results together. After a while, the results were shown on the electronic screen in the exam room. First place, and Ning. Total score, 197. History, 97. Mutant beast knowledge, 98. Second place, Lin Jun. Total score, 195. History, 95. Mutant beast knowledge, 100. Seeing Lin Jun's results, Meng Dong said excitedly, "Well done, Lin Jun. You actually got second place." Although this is not the only criterion for the martial arts school to recruit people, but for people with the same grades, those who get first place in the cultural class will be given priority. Also, because of the physical condition of girls, they will not participate in the 3 physical tests. And Ning also has to take the civil service exam in the base city. You're the actual first place. Lin Jun said, "You're also good. You passed 2 subjects. Now you're qualified to take the 3 physical tests." I have some confidence in the physical test. These cultural classes give me a headache. Now I don't have to memorize anymore. Soon all the results came out. Most people passed smoothly. The physical test in the afternoon was about to begin. Chapter 8. After the boring cultural class in the morning ended, it was time for the main event that everyone was focused on, the 3 physical tests. 6 High School was not a key high school in the Bay City, but many dojos had sent people here. After all, it was not uncommon for geniuses to appear in normal high schools. This time, there were 12 graduating classes, with nearly 700 students participating in the graduation exam. As soon as the results of the cultural class came out, the physical test began immediately. The physical test was carried out in the school's activity room. There was a fist strength testing machine that could measure fist strength and fist speed. In addition, there was a nerve reaction testing machine. The students were required to stand inside and be attacked by 3-dimensional infrared images. Their nerve reaction would be measured within 1 minute. The students were all lining up at the entrance of the hall. The judges' table in the hall was already full. In addition to the invigilators, many dojos had seats. There were plates on the tables with names such as Lifeng Dojo, Chanfeng Dojo, Dragon Slayer Dojo, and so on. Of course, there were also representatives from the military. Many people wanted to join the military. In addition to the dojos and the military, the students could go to the government. However, they had to achieve a certain score in the exam. The students who did not pass could continue to go to university. However, it was impossible for them to become warriors after graduating from university. They could only become ordinary people. Therefore, going to university was the worst choice in this era. Graduating from high school was the dividing line of life. It was a lifetime event. Number 1, grade 12, class 9, Sun Wei. Hearing the roll call from afar, Lin Jun, who was at the end of the line, was annoyed. He was the first to hand in his paper, but he was the last one. How long would he have to wait? Number 1, Sun Wei, entered the hall with fear. He was a slightly shy boy. Let's begin. The first test, fist strength. Sun Wei came to the fist strength testing machine. It was a huge rubber mat. The students were required to attack with all their strength. Only 1 punch was allowed. Begin. Use your full strength. Start with your left hand. Ha! Sun Wei roared and threw a punch. The mercury column next to him soared. The electronic screen immediately showed the number. 103 kg. The representatives, who were paying attention to his situation, shook their heads slightly. This result was too bad. It was not much better than an ordinary person. He did not pass. The minimum requirement for dojos to recruit students was 200 kilograms. This was far from a mark. Next, he punched out 112 kilograms with his right fist, which also failed. Fist speed test begin. Use your fastest speed to strike continuously. Time limit, 1 second. Bang, 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 bang. 71 kg, 68 kg, 66 kg, 62 kg. For punches per second. Results complete. Next, let's test your reaction time. Sun Wei's face was ashen as he arrived at the nerve reaction area. The surrounding area was immediately sealed, and countless infrared attacks were launched. The attack speed simulated the speed of an automatic rifle firing from 100 meters away. The students were required to dodge. When the test began, countless bullets flew from all directions. Sun Wei couldn't make any effective dodging reactions at all. He just rolled and crawled without any order, hoping to dodge as much as possible. But the bullets were fired according to your movements, hitting you wherever you hid. After a minute, the test results were out. 60 bullets per minute, 59 effective hits, 1 successful dodge, 3 effective dodging actions. Overall, nerve reaction time is 0. 43/M. Sun Wei walked out of the testing machine. There was no need to say anything. The doors of the university were open for him. The following series of tests were somewhat disappointing. A total of 300 students had taken a test, and only 3 passed. The best one was from class 2. His maximum fist strength was 221 kilograms. His fist speed was 5.7/M, and his nerve reaction time was 0.097/M. He was still a distance away from the passing line of the top 3 dojos, but he was recruited by a small dojo. The acceptance rate of 1% made the people in the dojos sleepy. The military only recruited less than 10 people. It seems that the 6th high school is the 6th high school. It's hard to find any geniuses. The representative of Changfeng Dojo shook the pen in his hand. He didn't make any notes on the paper in front of him. The representative of Dragonslayer Dojo smiled and said, "We have already prepared for this. Today, all the high schools are having their graduation exams. The focus of the dojos is on the first, second, and third high schools. It is said that those schools are full of geniuses. If it wasn't for our low status in the dojo, we would have gone there long ago." That's right. The dojo has a bonus for finding geniuses. It seems that I have no hope of getting the bonus today. The representative of Chongfeng Dojo was a little depressed. Don't worry. Half of the people haven't taken the exam. Maybe there will be geniuses. Only the representative of Lifeng Dojo was calm. He had a goal in mind. While they were talking, Ouyang Yu walked in. The test begins. Fist strength left hand. Ouyang Yu stood in front of the testing machine expressionlessly and punched out with his left hand. Boom! The mercury column soared, and the electronic screen immediately showed the result. 266 kg. Wow, this is not bad. Is he a lefty? If he is a forehand, then this person has great potential. The eyes of the representative of Dragonslayer Dojo lit up. He finally found a suitable candidate. Right-hand tests begin. 291 kg. After Ouyang Yu finished punching with his right hand, the eyes of the representative of Chongfeng Dojo also lit up. This kid just needs to practice a little more, and his fist strength will exceed 300 kilograms. He is a genius. Fist speed test begin. Ouyang Yu held his breath and punched out with both hands. A series of numbers flew out. 216 kg, 225 kg, 222 kg, 28 kg, 2g, 229 kg. The test is over. 2 punches per second. All results are effective. The representatives of Chongfeng Dojo and Dragonslayer Dojo looked at each other. They both saw the competition. This Ouyang Yu was not bad. Although he was not a genius, he was still outstanding in the 6 high. It was worth fighting for. Only the representative of Lifeng Dojo did not make a move. As a #1 dojo in China, Lifeng Dojo's standards were higher. Ouyang Yu's results were not enough to move him. Unless Ouyang Yu's nerve reaction was very outstanding, his performance was not enough. Next was the nerve reaction test. Ouyang Yu's performance was also good. He did not panic when facing the rain of bullets. Instead, he calmly reacted. Although his movements were not fast, most of the time he reacted in time. There were even some times when he succeeded. After a minute, the results came out. Ouyang Yu, 60 bullets per minute, 51 effective hits, 9 successful evasive maneuvers, 21 effective evasive maneuvers, total score of 0. 082/M. Our Chongfeng Dojo wants this guy. The representative of Chongfeng Dojo immediately announced. As soon as his voice fell, the representative of the Dragon Slaying Dojo laughed. "You're too late, Ouyang Yu. Before I came here, your uncle Zhang said that you've been selected to join the Dragon Slaying Dojo. The generous contract has been prepared for you. You can sign it now." Ouyang Yu also laughed. "I will listen to Uncle Zhang and enter Dragon Slayer." The representative of Chongfeng Dojo put down his pen in frustration. It was not easy to find someone he liked, but he was already selected. Ouyang Yu's signing caused quite a stir. The first person from his 6th high to sign with one of the 3 dojos had appeared. After signing, Ouyang Yu changed into the Dragonslayer Dojo's uniform and officially became a martial artist student of Dragonslayer Dojo. Chapter 9. Ouyang Yu's selection spurred the enthusiasm of the following students. Seeing that Ouyang Yu had become a warrior, the rest of the students put in more effort, and a few good seedlings appeared. Even the Chongfeng Martial Arts Club recruited a student, but the Lifeng Martial Arts Club didn't do anything. The representative of the Lifeng Martial Arts Club didn't pay attention until Mengdong showed up. Obviously, he had done his homework and came here for Mengdong. Mengdong's performance was also amazing. His punching speed was 5.7 punches per second, and his reflexes were 0.091/M. His best performance was his punching strength. His left punch was 355 kilograms, and his right punch was 403 kilograms. Warriors were divided into 3 levels of the mortal realm: warrior, warlord, and warlord. Each level was divided into 9 levels. The warrior level was mainly divided by 3 aspects of physical strength: punching strength, punching speed and reflexes were all above a certain standard. For example, in the graduation exam, a punching strength of 200 kilograms was the standard for a level 2 warrior. Mengdong's punching strength was over 400 kilograms, which was the standard for a level 3 warrior. Although he didn't meet the other two requirements, once he did, he would be one of the best level 3 warriors and would be able to fight above his level. The representatives of the Changfeng Martial Arts Club and the Dragon-Slaying Martial Arts Club almost fought over this talent. Unfortunately, Mengdong chose the Lifeng Martial Arts Club in the end. After Mengdong, the scene became a bit dull. There were no more amazing geniuses. When it came to the last one, Lin Jun, the representatives of many martial arts clubs had already started to pack up, preparing to leave after a casual glance. Seeing Lin Jun, Ouyangyu, who was sitting next to the representative of the Dragon-Slaying Martial Arts Club, said, "Brotherly, this guy has a grudge against me. His performance is not bad and is good enough for those small clubs, but I hope he will suffer as much as possible." The representative of the Dragon-Slaying Martial Art Club was surnamed Li. Zhang Huai had talked to him before, so he knew that Ouyang father was an official in the base city. Therefore, he took good care of Ouyang. He nodded and said, "Okay, it's not a big deal. He's just a student with a little potential. There are many people like him. Let's see which club will accept him." "Done. Thank you, Brotherly. If Brotherly needs any help in the future, feel free to let me know." Ouyang was very pleased with himself. He looked at Lin Jun and thought to himself, "No matter how you perform, your fate has already been decided. Lin Jun, begin testing your fist strength." After the invigilator spoke, Lin Jun stood in front of the fist strength testing machine. "After 3 days of mental cultivation, I can feel that my physique has improved to a certain extent, but I don't know how much it has improved. Now is the time to verify it." Previously, Lin Jun's punching strength had exceeded 200. His left hand was slightly more than 200, and his right hand was slightly more than 230. Taking a deep breath, he raised his left fist and punched out. Buzz! The column of mercury shot up. Just by looking at the speed of the mercury column rising, the representatives of the dojos who originally planned to take a look couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. This kid's potential was not bad. Looking at this speed, the strength of this punch would not be too low. The electronic screen displayed the strength of Lin Jun's punch. 298 kg. Wow. Another one that is pleasing to the eye. Even if he is left-handed, our Azure Sky Dojo will accept him. The representative of Azure Sky Dojo was the first to express his attitude. Under normal circumstances, if the student was not too outstanding, the dojos who were familiar with them would be modest. However, if the student was outstanding, everyone would fight for it. In his previous life, Lin Jun joined Azure Sky Dojo. This dojo was ranked 9th in the country and was considered to be in the middle. Didn't Azure Sky Dojo already accept him? I looked at this Lin Jun's information. He is not left-handed. Our Azure Sky Dojo does not mind accepting one more person. Azure Sky Dojo spoke. Many other dojo representatives did not speak. They could not compete with Azure Sky Dojo in terms of strength. Ouyang face became extremely ugly because he saw that Brotherly next to him was also a little restless. Damn, how did Lin Jun's strength improve so much? The strength of his punch actually surpassed mine. He was clearly much weaker than me before. Lin Jun completely ignored the noise around him. He gathered his strength and punched out with his right fist again. 368 kg. Although his strength was not as strong as Mengdong, who was born with superhuman strength, this was already the second highest result in the entire school. Seeing this number, the eyes of the other dojo representatives lit up. Some people even took out their phones and began to contact the person in charge of their dojo to report Lin Jun's situation. If the latter two tests were outstanding, then they would have to consider what kind of contract to recruit the talent. Azure Sky Dojo was strong, but they might not have the determination to recruit Lin Jun. As long as the price was high enough, they did not believe that Lin Jun would not be tempted. The invigilator seemed to be shocked by Lin Jun's results. He paused for a moment before continuing. The fist strength test is over. Next is the fist speed test. Linjun, you have 1 second to punch at full speed. Remember not to hold back. Linjun nodded. He was secretly happy. The increase of mental strength was not small. Moreover, strength was not the most important aspect. The most important aspect was the nerve reaction. He was looking forward to the next test. Taking a deep breath, Lin Jun punched the target with lightning speed. First with his left hand, then with his right hand. Boom, 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 boom. A series of violent punching sounds rang out. A string of numbers flew up. 266 kg 311 kg 251 kg 509 kg 255 kg 50 kg 267 kg. The test is over. 7. 6 punches per second. All valid. As the invigilator's voice fell, the representatives of the dojo below could not sit still. Although his fist strength was not as good as Mengdong's, his fist speed was better. From this, it could be seen that this Lin Jun was more agile. Moreover, his strength was not weak. This was another genius. Almost all the representatives began to contact the person in charge. Only the representatives of Azure Sky Dojo and Dragon Slayer did not make a move. Dragon Slayer's brother Li hesitated again and again. Although Zhang Huai was involved, it was his duty to unearth geniuses. It was related to his wallet. It was impossible for him not to be tempted. Let's wait and see. We'll make a decision after seeing his reaction speed. Representative Li decided to be patient. The eyes of Azure Sky Dojo's representative lit up. It was unknown what he was thinking. Beside him, Mengdong said excitedly, "Brother Zhao, this Lin Jun is my bro. You should recruit him to Azure Sky Dojo. I really like to be with him." The man surnamed Zhao nodded slightly. It was unknown what he was thinking. Lin Jun, begin the test of reaction speed. Lin Jun stood in the fully enclosed test chamber. Countless infrared rays began to flash around him. Holding his breath, the first red light suddenly shot out. This test completely simulated the speed of a bullet. As long as the student could make an effective dodge, it would be considered a success. Dodging was very important. In a battle with mutated beasts, only those who were agile enough could live longer. Those who only knew how to fight head-on were usually short-lived. The dojo spent a lot of money to cultivate martial artists. Naturally, it was not for short-lived martial artists. Therefore, reaction speed was very important. Lin Jun had tested this reaction speed before. At that time, it was almost impossible for him to make an effective dodge. However, it felt different today. He seemed to be able to perceive the trajectory of the bullet. Although it was difficult to dodge, it was not completely impossible. Lin Jun turned his head abruptly. The red light brushed past him. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Streaks of red light appeared like a spider web. Lin Jun tried his best to twist and move. Sometimes he could make a move, but sometimes he was hit. No, I can't stand out too much in this test. Otherwise, the secret of being a spirit reader will be discovered. It's better for me to keep some secrets. Of course, he would not perform too badly. Under Lin Jun's deliberate control, a minute passed quickly. 60 bullets per minute, 33 effective hits, 27 successful evasive maneuvers, 50 effective evasive maneuvers. Reflexes 0. 064/M. As the invigilator reported this number in disbelief, all the representatives went crazy. Chapter 10. Student Lin Jun, our Azure Sky Dojo has decided to recruit you. The contract can be signed for 5 years at a time, and your monthly salary will be the same as that of an advanced student. Come to Guangying Media. The terms of the contract are definitely not worse than Azure Skies. If you have any requests for your family members, we can also be responsible for finding jobs for your family members and allowing them to enjoy life in the base city. Our slayers can do the same. We can also provide you with housing. You can live in a 2-story villa in the Western District for free. Stop arguing. Our Changfeng has decided to recruit you. You can also participate in the special training at the headquarters. The Warlord instructors will teach you for free. Our Changfeng members can also enjoy a 5% discount on goods. This is something that those small dojos don't have. There was a lot of noise all around. These high and mighty warriors were like hawkers selling vegetables, trying their best to promote their dojo. There was no other way. Lin Jun's performance was too outstanding. The strength and speed of his punches had reached the standard of a level 3 fighter. His nerve reaction was even more abnormal, reaching the level of a level 4 fighter. Nerve reaction determined the survival ability of a warrior. If there were no accidents, this Lin Jun was very likely to become a warlord in the future. After all, Lin Junke wasn't even 17 yet. They didn't expect that 6th high school would have such a talent. It was estimated that such a person would rarely appear even in elite schools like 1st, 2nd, and 3rd high schools. They thought that Lin Jun would be stunned by such a generous contract, but Lin Jun stood in the crowd with a faint smile on his face. He was not moved at all. He was still waiting for even more generous conditions. Ouyang looked at Lin Jun with jealousy. He saw that Brother Li, who had just promised to help him, was busy calling the person in charge and preparing to discuss the generous contract for Lin Jun. He had completely left Ouyang to the side. However, before too long could finish his call, the representative of the Gale Dojo, Zhao Yang, walked over with Meng Dong beside him. He winked at Lin Jun. Lin Jun, Live Phone will give you a contract. It's a second-class student contract. You can sign it for 3 years at a time because we believe that after 3 years, the current contract will no longer be suitable for you. We promise you that we will solve your family's work and living problems. We will also provide you with a detached 3-story villa in the Xiqing district. There will be a strict security system there so that your family can live without worries and will solve your worries. Meng Dong also chimed in from the side. Lin Jun, come to Gale. This is China's #1 dojo. We can also continue to be together. In the future, we can form a team to kill monsters together. We brothers can work together to carve out a piece of the sky. Lin Jun sighed softly. Then I'll go to Gale. Hearing that Lin Jun was going to Gale and hearing the price that Gale offered, the other dojos finally shut up. Gale was really generous. They were willing to give away a 3-story villa just like that. Their dojos did not have such financial resources. Only Tu Long's representative, who had just finished his call, immediately said, Lin Jun, we can also give you the same treatment. It's even better than Gale. Lin Jun glanced at Tu Long's representative and shook his head. I'll go to Gale. Why? Shouldn't martial artists pursue their own interests? Tu Long's representative was puzzled. Lin Jun's lips curled into a smile. He suddenly pointed at Ouyang behind him. Because I don't like this kid. If you break his legs now, I'll consider joining Tu Long. Tu Long's representative was stunned. He opened his mouth, but did not say anything. Naturally, it was impossible to break Ouyang's legs. However, it made him understand that Lin Jun did not join Tu Long because of Ouyang. This made him feel a little dissatisfied with Ouyang. If he had known this would happen, he would have disrespected Zhang Huai and not recruited Ouyang. It was obvious that Lin Jun's potential far exceeded Ouyang's. He would have definitely received a considerable amount of bonus. Now it was all gone. Ouyang anxiously shouted from behind, Brotherly, don't listen to this kid's nonsense. He's deliberately trying to sow discord. I'm not an idiot. I don't need your nonsense. Brotherly replied coldly. He turned and left the testing hall. When the dust settled, the people from various dojos dispersed. 6th High's graduation exam was over. Lin Jun signed a contract with Lai Feng's people on the spot. According to the contract, Lin Jun had to follow the Lai Feng dojo's basic arrangements. He had to prioritize Lai Feng's interests and could not betray them. At the same time, Lin Jun also enjoyed Lai Feng's benefits. The contract for a second-class student was very generous. Meng Dong's contract was for a third-class student. Third-class students received a salary of 200,000 yuan per month, and second-class students received a salary of 500,000 yuan per month. Lai Feng also promised to help Lin Jun's parents with their daily necessities. They would receive 5,000 yuan per month in the base city. The old couple would receive 10,000 yuan per month without doing anything. Although it was not a lot, it was enough to maintain their basic necessities. This was something that Lin Jun valued greatly. As a second-class student who joined the dojo for the first time, he could receive an extra month's salary. Zhao Yang from Lai Feng gave Lin Jun 500,000 yuan on the spot. At the same time, he also gave Lin Jun the key to a 3-story villa in the west of the city. He even transferred the property to Lin Jun on the spot. In addition to these, Lin Jun could also log into the live phone dojo's intranet in the future. As a second-class student, he could enjoy a 5% discount on online purchases. A 5% discount was not to be underestimated. Buying things was the biggest expense for a martial artist. After accumulating over a long period of time, a 5% discount was also a huge amount of wealth. As Lin Jun's level increased, he would enjoy even greater discounts. For example, a first-class student could enjoy a 3% discount, while an official martial artist could enjoy a 10% discount. That would be the real savings. In addition, there was also the dojo's uniform and satellite phone. Both Lin Jun and Meng Dong had one. After these necessary procedures were completed, Zhao Liang patted Lin Jun and Meng Dong's shoulders. "Let's go. Today, Big Brother Zhao will treat you two to a drink. Welcome to the Live Phone Dojo. I'll also take you to see the world of martial artists." Communication between martial artists was also very important. If one had many friends, they would have others to help them when they needed help. Zhao Yang clearly thought highly of Lin Jun and Meng Dong's potential. As a veteran martial artist, it was rare for him to be willing to make friends with newcomers. Lin Jun originally wanted to go home today and give his parents a surprise. However, he couldn't refuse Zhao Liang's good intentions. After thinking about it, he decided to let his family know first. Taking out his phone, Lin Jun called home. Soon, his father picked up the phone. After picking up, his father immediately asked about Lin Jun's graduation exam. Lin Jun hesitated for a moment. Seeing that there were still many people around, Lin Jun didn't want to be too high profile. He only said to his father on the phone, "Dad, don't worry. I did very well this time. I'll tell you when I get home. It might be very late." Zhao Yang, who was beside him, said, "What do you mean by very late? Let's drink till we're satisfied." Lin Jun had to continue. "If it's too late, I won't go back. I'll go back tomorrow morning." His father agreed and then hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, Lin Lie turned to Li Qin, who was looking forward to the results, and said, "This kid, I don't think he did too well in the exam. He always reports only the good news and not the bad news." Li Qin nodded. "If he didn't do well, you can't scold him when he comes back. Don't worry. I know what to do." The old couple couldn't figure out whether Lin Jun had entered a certain dojo or not. They were a little nervous. After finishing the phone call, Lin Jun and Meng Dong left 6 High together with Zhao Yang. Chapter 11. Lin Jun and Meng Dong got into Zhao Yang's car. It was the latest model of the Great Wall Phantom bulletproof car. Nowadays, in the automobile industry, every country was basically using their own cars. Because all the seas and rivers had basically become the world of monsters, the navigation industry was in a state of paralysis. Aviation was more or less the same. The sky was a world of mutant birds. Every country was basically unnavigable, so people could only use their own cars. There was no longer any talk of buying foreign goods. The Great Wall Phantom was one of the high-end cars made in China. The market price of the bulletproof Phantom was more than 7 million yuan. For Lin Jun, who had been reborn, it was nothing. For Meng Dong, who was a fledgling, it was too shocking. TSK. Look at this car, this luster, this model. If I could have such a car, I would be satisfied for the rest of my life. Zhao Yang laughed and said, "Kid, you are too unambitious. Wait until you train a little more and reach the advanced warrior stage. Then you can form a team and go out to hunt monsters. As long as you kill a few advanced monsters, this car will be easily in your hands." After saying that, he looked at Lin Jun again. "You see, Lin Jun is much calmer than you. As a martial artist, a calm heart is very necessary. You have to learn from Lin Jun on this point." Meng Dong glanced at Lin Jun. "I don't want to compare myself with this kid. He is best at pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. He is obviously so strong, but he doesn't show it. He made me worry for him. He has been like this since he was young. No matter what he does in the future, I won't be surprised." Being able to hide is also a kind of ability. "Come, get in the car. Let's go drink." Lin Jun and Meng Dong got in the car. They felt that the door was very heavy. When martial artists choose a car, bulletproof is the first choice. The longer you train, the faster your nerve reaction will be. There will be fewer guns that can threaten you. But if you sit in the car, it won't work. If the enemy's machine gun sweeps over, where will you hide? Therefore, the more bulletproof the vehicle is, the better. Along the way, it was basically Zhao Yang talking, while Lin Jun and Meng Dong listened. Although Lin Jun knew a lot more than Zhao Yang, he didn't want to reveal anything. He could see that Zhao Yang treated them well, and he didn't want to show anything different from others. The car sped along the road. After a while, they entered a spacious and bustling street. Wow, this is Shunwu Street. It said that it's super expensive here. Meng Dong sat in the car, looking at the bustling night scene outside and making a big fuss. Haha, for ordinary people, the cost of this street is indeed very high. A meal may cost an ordinary person a year's income. A night can cost 10 years' income, or even a lifetime's income. But Meng Dong, remember, you are now a member of the Zephyr Martial Arts School. You need to adjust your mentality as soon as possible. A martial artist is a martial artist. Although you live among ordinary people, you don't fit in with the ordinary people's world. Meng Dong's face was a little red. He hadn't adjusted his mentality yet. Although he had just joined the Zephyr Martial Arts School, his mentality was still that of an ordinary person. On the other hand, Lin Jun's calm appearance made Zhao Yang admire him very much. With this mentality, one could face everything calmly. This was the prerequisite to becoming an excellent martial artist. The car stopped in front of a bar. Immediately, a waiter came up to greet them. "Brother Zhao, you haven't been here for a few days. Yes, is there a seat?" "Yes, there will definitely be a seat when you come." Brother Zhao of the Zephyr Martial Arts School wouldn't dare to sit in it if others asked him to. Zhao Yang smiled and casually threw 2 bills to the waiter, asking him to wipe the car and park it properly. The waiter immediately went away with a smile. The largest denomination of currency was 1,000. 2 bills were $2,000, which was considered a small fortune. These martial artists were rich and had always been generous. They were the waiter's favorite customers. Walking to the door, Lin Jun and Meng Dong looked up. The name of the bar was 1,000 Years of Time. This bar was very famous in the martial artist circle. The interior decoration was modeled after the Christian calendar from 1,000 years ago. It had a very retro feel. As for the Gong Yuan calendar, everyone had studied history and knew a thing or two. At that time, although people's potential hadn't been fully developed, technology, culture, art, and so on were not inferior to now. In terms of enjoyment, the God's Change era was not as good as the Gong Yuan calendar. Zhao Yang walked in front with Lin Jun following beside him with an indifferent expression. In his mind, he was recalling the days when he came to this bar. 1,000 Years of Time. Although this was a bar, there are often fights. In his previous life, when he joined the Azure Sky Dojo, he came out to celebrate for the first time. It was also on this day, in this bar. That day, there was an intense conflict. That day, the students of the Dragon-Slaying Martial Arts School and the Zephyr Martial Arts School fought here. Meng Dong and Ouyang Yu both participated. Meng Dong and Ouyang Yu both defeated their opponents and made a small name for themselves in the martial artist circle. Fame was very important to martial artists. Being able to make a name for oneself in the martial artist circle was also a very difficult thing. However, the main character of that day was not Meng Dong, but a first-class student of the Zephyr Martial Arts School called Fu Qingya. He alone blocked the joint attack of a first-class student and a second-class student from the Dragon-Slaying Martial Arts School and was not defeated in 5 minutes. That day, 8 people from the Dragon-Slaying Martial Arts School participated in the fight, while the Zephyr Martial Arts School only had 4 people. The main reason why the Dragon-Slaying Martial Arts School was not completely defeated was because of Fu Qingya's presence. At that time, that fight was very famous in the martial artist circle. Although the Zephyr Martial Arts School lost in the end, Fu Qingya became famous. At that time, Lin Jun was only a spectator in the corner. It was said that Fu Qingya received a reward from the Zephyr Martial Arts School because of this. As for the specific reward, Lin Jun did not know. Fu Qingya, first-class student of the Zephyr Martial Arts School. In my previous life, the person who stole my mutated Bison King causing me to lose several hundred million. This time, I'll be seeing you again soon. Lin Jun thought as he followed Zhao Liang into the bar's main hall. Walking into the bar's main hall, there was a dance floor in the middle. There were dozens of round tables around it, all for guests to drink. On the stage in the middle of the dance floor, a pure-looking girl was using a guitar to sing an old song called Dream Chaser. It was said that this song was once popular during the AD calendar. There was even a band accompanying her. All the decorations were said to be based on the year 2000 of the AD calendar. It looked very different from today's style. There were already many tables full of guests in the main hall. They looked like martial artists or students of the Zephyr Martial Arts School. Today was the end of the graduation exam. Every martial arts school students would choose to go out to celebrate. Almost all the bars on this street were full. Under the guidance of the waiter, Zhao Liang brought Lin Jun and Meng Dong to the seat he was most familiar with. It was not far from the stage and had a good view. "What do you two want to eat?" Zhao Liang asked the two of them first. Lin Jun and Meng Dong shook their heads, indicating that they did not know what to order. In fact, when rookies came here, they did not know what to order. Zhao Yang was not surprised and made the decision. "Then give me a demon wolf leg, 1 kilogram of mutated beef, a plate of fruits, a plate of nuts, and a carton of that." Being city beer. The dishes were served very quickly. In less than 5 minutes, the dishes were served. The waiter opened 3 bottles of beer. Zhao Yang passed one to Lin Jun and one to Meng Dong. "Come, as a martial artist, you must know how to drink. The environment here is suitable for drinking beer. Let's drink until we are drunk." The 3 of them clinked their bottles and finished the beer in one gulp. After they sat down to eat, someone came in from outside. "Our men are here to recruit students from number 1 middle school. Old Hu, come over here." Zhao Yang looked and immediately called out. There were 4 people outside. The leader was a tall martial artist, followed by 3 students. "Liangzi, you're here too." Old Hu laughed as he walked over and sat down casually. "Yes, Brother Hu, you have a good harvest today. You recruited 3 students, and one of them is a first-class student." Zhao Yang looked at the 3 students behind Old Hu. He was envious. Number 1 middle school had always been outstanding, but it was not easy to recruit first-class students. Zhao Yang did not expect Old Hu to find a first-class student. This time, he had made a lot of money. "Ha ha, it's just luck. Fu Qingya is not bad. You're not bad too. A second-class student and a third-class student. It is rare for a place like number 6 middle school to recruit such students. Come, you two should get to know each other. Otherwise, you will not know each other when you enter the dojo." Fu Qingya was handsome, but his expression was cold. The other 2 students were second-class student Zhu Haoren and third-class student Zhang Yi. They walked over and greeted Zhao Liang, Lin Jun, and Meng Dong. Seeing that the table was a little small, Old Hu called out to Zhao Liang and said, "Old Zhao, let's go to the private room and let the younger generation play together. There are many old friends in the private room today. It seems that they want to play cards. Let's go and play." Many martial artists like to gamble, and Zhao Liang was no exception. His eyes lit up when he heard this. "Okay, let's go and have a look." The 2 of them stood up. Zhao Yang said to Lin Jun and the others, "Go ahead and play. Order whatever you want to eat and drink. Don't worry about spending less than 300,000 yuan. Just put on my tab. If there are students from other dojos looking for trouble, don't be polite. Beat them up. Don't weaken the name of Gale. Do you understand?" Several students agreed. The 2 martial artists put their arms around each other's shoulders and went to play cards. Chapter 12. After Zhao Yang left, the third-class student immediately pulled on Zhao Yang's chair and said to Fu Qingya, "Brother Fu, come and sit here." Fu Qingya did not hold back and directly sat in Zhao Yang's seat. This was the main seat, so he felt that it was only right for him to sit there. The 5 of them were all wearing Gale's uniform. As a first-class student, Fu Qingya naturally had the highest status. Lin Jun and Meng Dong did not say anything. Fu Qingya sat down. Zhu Haoren sat on his left, and Zhang Yi sat on his right. Lin Jun and Meng Dong sat opposite him. "Are you guys from 6 High?" Zhang Yi asked first. "Yes, we are from 6 High. I heard that because 6 High's aptitude is too poor, their selection criteria are a little far-fetched. If there's a mediocre student, they'll give a third-class or even second-class contract. I wonder if that's true. Zhang Yi's gaze swept over the second-class student mark on Lin Jin's chest, and he said with some dissatisfaction, the students of First High had always been strong, and their family backgrounds were not simple. In the face of such people, Mengdong really did not have the confidence. Moreover, he was only a third-class student, so it was inevitable that he could not be unyielding. When he heard Zhang Yi's question, he did not know how to answer. He looked at Lin Jun for help. In Mengdong's heart, Lin Jun was very powerful, much more powerful than he was. It was better for him to make the decision on this kind of matter. Lin Jun smiled slightly and said to Zhang, "Are you suspecting that Brother Zhao is biased?" This sentence instantly made Zhang Yi speechless. His words were directed at Lin Jun, but even if he was given a few more guts, he would not dare to question Zhao Yang. Zhao Yang was a third-class warlord, and his status in Gale was not low. How could mere third-class student question him? Zhu Haoran saw that Zhang Yi was deflated and immediately said, "Zhang Yi, Lin Jun is a second-class student. You have to maintain some respect." After saying that, he turned to Lin Jun. What Zhang Yi said is not rare. There are many students who graduated from the lower-ranked high schools, and there are indeed quite a few of them who are unqualified. I have no intention of questioning Mr. Zhao. Lin Jun, don't accuse him. Lin Jun nodded. There are indeed fake students, but they're not limited to the high schools ranked at the bottom. Some of the high schools ranked at the top are quite famous, but the students who come out are like flowers in a greenhouse. Some of them even wet their pants when they fight against monsters. Zhu Haoran frowned and looked at Lin Jun with an unkind expression. What Lin Jun said happened in number 1 high school. He was once a second-class student who performed very well during training, but when he really fought against monsters, he was so scared that he wet his pants. This incident was also a great humiliation for No. 1 high school. All the students of number 1 high school did not like to hear this, but Lin Jun directly brought it up. Zhu Haoran was immediately displeased. What are you talking about? Zhang Yi relied on the fact that Fu Qingya and Zhu Haoran were present and immediately flared up at Lin Jun. Mengdong also calmed down at this time. He was originally a boorish person. Now that he saw Lin Jun speaking frankly, he was no longer afraid of number 1 high school's prestige. When he saw that Zhang Yi actually dared to shout, he immediately slammed the table. "Listen to me obediently. What are you shouting about as a third-class student?" Zhu Haoran and Zhang Yi's expressions changed. They stood up and seemed to want to fight. At this time, Fu Qingya finally spoke. "Stop arguing. The people from Slain Dragon are here." Seeing that Fu Qingya had spoken, Zhu Haoran and the others didn't dare to disobey. They pursed their lips, sat down, and looked back. They saw a large group of people coming in noisily from outside. The leaders were 3 martial artists, followed by 7 or 8 students, including Ouyang Yu. However, Ouyang Yu was at the back of the group. As a third-class student, he didn't have a high status. Among martial artists, this was also very important. In front of him, there was 1 first-class student, 2 second-class students, and 5 third-class students in total. The Dragon Slayers took up 2 tables. The 3 martial artists stayed for less than a minute before they entered the private room. As martial artists, they naturally had their own social circles. It was rare for them to lower their status and stay with students. As soon as they left, the 8 students over there became noisy. They were shouting, drinking, and chatting loudly. However, the hall was basically filled with students. Slaying Dragon was one of the top 3 martial arts schools in Huaxia. With so many people, ordinary people really didn't dare to provoke them. Although Lifeng was the number 1 martial arts school in Huaxia, it didn't mean that it was number 1 in all the Bay cities. In the northern Bay cities, Lifeng was not the most powerful. In the capital and Tianfu Bay cities, Lifeng was more powerful. However, in the north, Lifeng was only number 3. In Bing City Bay City, the number 1 martial arts school was Changfeng. The number 2 martial arts school had always been Slaying Dragon and Lifeng. Lifeng was slightly weaker than Slaying Dragon, so Liefeng's advantage was not obvious here. Today, The people from Chongfeng didn't appear. The people from Slaying Dragon also saw Lin Jun and the others. A few of them began to whisper. Obviously, they were up to no good. Seeing the people from Slaying Dragon, Zhu Haoran's expression changed. Brother Fu, Lei Ming is over there. He didn't get along with us when we were in #1 middle school. I'm afraid this time he will make trouble for us. They have many people. Fu Qingyao waved his hand. Don't worry about him. If we retreat now, we will become a laughing stock. Glancing at Lin Jun and Meng Dong, Fu Qingyao said, Listen up, the people from Slaying Dragon might come looking for trouble later. If you are afraid, leave now. If you're not, then fight side by side and listen to my commands. Lin Jun frowned slightly. We are not afraid, but I don't like to be commanded. If there is a real battle, we will rely on our own abilities. Lin Jun's words represent my opinion. Meng Dong added, You don't know what's good for you. In that case, you will have completed your mission if you can stop a second class and a third class. Zhu Haoran said coldly. Obviously, he was very unhappy with Lin Jun and Lei Ming's lack of cooperation. At this time, the people from Slaying Dragon came over. The leader was a young man who looked very strong. He was wearing Slaying Dragon's uniform and had a first-class student mark on his chest. He was Lei Ming, who Fu Qingyao had mentioned. Lin Jun narrowed his eyes. This Lei Ming was Ouyang Yu's elder brother. After Ouyang Yu joined Slaying Dragon, he followed behind Lei Ming and became his follower. This person's physical fitness had reached the peak of a third-class warrior and was only a step away from becoming a fourth-class warrior. He was not old, but his potential was amazing. Lei Ming walked to the table and looked down at Fu Qingyao. Fu Qingyao, it is rare for us to meet. We're all old classmates. Don't you want to invite us for a drink? Fu Qingyao did not move from her seat. Our table is small. I'm afraid it cannot fit all of you. Lei Ming was not angry. Instead, he laughed and said, It's okay if there is no place. We could just stand. Let me introduce you. This little brother behind me is called Ouyang Yu. He has some grudges with the two of you. Since we are all in Bing City, we will see each other frequently. We want to have a drink together. Let bygones be bygones. Don't you have any objections? Ouyang Yu stood up and stood in front of Lin Jun and Meng Dong. Fu Qingyao frowned. She did not expect the other party to come for Lin Jun and Lei Ming. She could not reject this kind of suggestion and nodded slightly. Obviously, no matter if it was Fu Qingyao, Lei Ming, and Lei Ming, all of them treated Fu Qingyao as the one in charge. As for Lin Jun and Meng Dong's opinions, they were completely ignored. Ouyang Yu smiled proudly and took out a huge bottle of liquor. Inside the bottle was Bing City's specialty, Shadaozi Baijiu. It was more than 60% alcohol. Ouyang Yu took out 2 huge wine glasses and placed them in front of Lin Jun and Meng Dong. He filled both glasses and said, Lin Jun, Meng Dong, we are all from 6 high school. Although we had some unhappiness in the past, it is all in the past. Give me some face and drink this glass of liquor. In the future, we will still be good classmates and brothers. Meng Dong looked at the wine glasses and said, Ouyang Yu, if you want us to drink, shouldn't you show your sincerity first? Why, you're not drinking. Of course, I want to drink too. Come, watch carefully. Ouyang Yu took another big glass and gulped down 2 kilograms of baijiu. How about the 3 of us drink together? Lin Jun had been paying attention to Ouyang Yu's fingers. This scene had happened before, but it was not done by Ouyang Yu. It was obvious that this time, because Lin Jun was present, Ouyang Yu volunteered to take the initiative. Ouyang Yu's baijiu was real liquor, but at this moment there was a hangover pill in his fingers. When placed in the baijiu, it would dissolve within a second. It was enough to turn the big glass of baijiu into water. The price of the hangover pill was not low. Ouyang Yu was determined to embarrass Lin Jun and Meng Dong. The lights in the bar were dim, and no one could see the hangover pill. Lin Jun had been paying attention. When Ouyang Yu released his fingers, he secretly released his psychic power. Psychic power could be used on inanimate objects. It could be used to move objects in the air. If one's psychic power reached the gold level, they would be able to control objects and fly people. Lin Jun's psychic power was currently at the peak of the bronze level and was about to enter the silver level. Moving a small hangover pill was very easy. The moment the hangover pill fell into Ouyang Yu's glass, Lin Jun pulled it over in the air. His speed was very fast. A second later, the hangover pill dissolved in Lin Jun's glass. Ouyang Yu, if you want to drink, I will accompany you. But you don't have to bring Meng Dong with you. How about I drink with you? Lin Jun spoke. Ouyang Yu's original target was Lin Jun. Meng Dong was only incidental. He was worried that Lin Jun would not agree. Now that he saw that Lin Jun actually agreed, he immediately smiled. Well, I will give you face, Lin Jun. But let's agree. If anyone can't drink, then they are not giving face. All the expenses today will be on them. No problem. Lin Jun readily agreed. Lin Jun, can you do it? Meng Dong was a little worried. Chapter 13. Seeing that two Long and Lai Feng's people were facing each other, the surrounding students had already started to create a scene. In the past 1,000 years, it was not forbidden for martial artists or students to fight with each other. There were rules in the martial artist circle. If a fight happened, the loser would bear the cost and compensate for the loss of the bar. Since the opening of the bar in the past 1,000 years, it had been rebuilt more than a dozen times. Those were all fights between high-level martial artists that tore down the bar. As for small fights, they happened every 2 to 3 days. Lin Jun and Ouyang Yu held their wine glasses and drank at the same time. Lin Jun's speed was very fast. He finished the 2 caddies of liquor in less than 10 seconds. After the evaporation of the antidote pill, the alcohol content of the liquor was lower than beer. Lin Jun had no difficulty drinking it. On the other hand, Ouyang Yu drank a few mouthfuls and stopped immediately. He even coughed violently. This liquor. Ouyang Yu wanted to say something, but he saw that Lin Jun had already finished his wine glass. He wanted to say that the antidote pill was ineffective, but Lei Ming looked at Ouyang Yu coldly. Is it all you can drink? If you don't have the ability, don't challenge others to a drinking contest. If you embarrass too long, you'll have to deal with it. Ouyang Yu had no other choice. The antidote pill was not something he could talk about. He could only hold his nose and continue drinking. However, the liquor was 2 caddies. Even a martial artist would find it difficult to drink it in one gulp. Ouyang Yu drank less than a third of it and couldn't take it anymore. Wah! Ouyang Yu spat out a mouthful of liquor. Lin Jun dodged to the side. Zhu Haoren and Zhang, he didn't expect that Ouyang Yu would vomit on them. Before they could react, Ouyang Yu was drunk and took the lead to act up. F***CK. Kill Lai Feng's grandson. He raised his wine glass and smashed it at Lin Jun. Lin Jun's reaction was very fast. He dodged to the side again and took a big stride forward. He threw out 3 consecutive punches. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sound of the fist breaking through the air was heard. The drunk Ouyang Yu didn't have any strength to fight back. He was knocked down by Lin Jun's consecutive heavy punches. Seeing the 2 sides start fighting, Dragon Slayer and the others, who were here to cause trouble, immediately took action. Zhu Haoren and Zhang Yi were sprayed with filth, and they had nowhere to vent their anger. Together with Meng Dong, who had also attacked, the 2 sides immediately fought. Fu Qingya and Lei Ming didn't expect things to develop so quickly. Both of them reacted immediately. They looked at each other and started fighting. In an instant, the bar was in chaos. Wine bottles and plates flew everywhere. Tables and chairs were flipped over. The people around didn't hide too far away. Instead, they formed a large circle and began to cheer loudly. Hearing the sounds of fighting outside, the group of martial artists who were gambling in the box rushed out. Seeing that it was too Long and Lai Feng's people who had made a move, the other martial artists didn't say anything. Instead, they cast their gazes towards the martial artists from these 2 families. According to the rules between martial artists, people with the title of martial artist were not allowed to participate in the battles between students. If they did, it would be considered bullying the weak. Students were divided into different levels. Students were warriors. Level 1 to 3 were primary warriors. Level 4 to 6 were intermediate warriors, and level 7 to 9 were advanced warriors. The warrior level mainly cultivated the strength of the body, also known as bright strength. There was a very important threshold for the warrior level, and that was the gene optimization potion. The gene optimization potion was an epic-making product. Generally, it was taken at the peak of level 3 warrior. It could greatly increase the potential of the human body. Depending on the individual's qualifications and luck, it would increase the human body's strength, speed, and reflexes by a large margin. Otherwise, it was basically impossible to advance to the advanced warrior level just by training. Any martial artist who could hunt in the wild had taken the gene optimization potion. Otherwise, they wouldn't be a match for those mutated beasts. When the warrior level was promoted, it was the warlord level. There was also a crucial stage in advancing to the warlord level. When the warrior was at the peak of level 9, he would take another chi sensing potion, which would allow the martial artist to generate internal force. During the Christian era, the martial arts masters who had succeeded in cultivating internal force were all very old. The cultivation of internal force needed to be accumulated over a long period of time. Once the cultivation was successful, the martial artist would be able to exert extraordinary strength from head to toe. Martial artists called it dark strength. Later, after the God transformation era, the gene optimization potion and the chi sensing potion came out one after another, greatly shortening the time for martial artists to cultivate. The chi sensing potion was specifically used to improve a martial artist's dantian and generate chi. It helped martial artists save a lot of time and form dark strength. Of course, the success rate of the chi sensing potion wasn't so high. This was because the comprehension of chi mainly depended on the martial artist's talent. The chi sensing potion could only play an auxiliary role. As long as the martial artist could comprehend a little bit of the operation of chi, the chi sensing potion would play a role. This gave martial artists who had just comprehended chi but hadn't fully grasped it an additional opportunity. This was because many martial artists who had just comprehended chi but hadn't fully grasped it and eventually failed. Overall, the chi sensing potion could increase a martial artist's success rate by about 30%. In other words, out of 100 martial artists, only 10 people could comprehend chi and cultivate dark strength. Then, with the help of the chi sensing potion, 40 people could successfully enter the dark strength stage. Of course, these 40 people were all somewhat talented. If they were fools, it would be useless even if they had the help of the chi sensing potion. Anyone who had the title of an official martial artist was at the warlord level and was a master of dark strength. At the peak of the 9th level, a warrior could exert a force of 1,000 kilograms at most. This was the limit after genetic optimization. However, this couldn't be compared with a master of dark strength. Masters of dark strength were not only faster, but ordinary firearms couldn't threaten them. Moreover, they could exert a force of thousands of kilograms at will. They were not at the same level as obvious strength. As for the warlord level, which was above the warlord level, it was also called the transforming strength stage. It referred to the cultivation of dark strength to every corner of the body. Every move would have incredible power. However, at that stage, it couldn't be solved by potions. One had to cultivate on their own. Therefore, if one wasn't a true genius, one wouldn't be qualified to advance to the warlord level. The 9th level warlord level was the limit. Due to the large gap in strength, these dark strength martial artists couldn't participate in the battle between students. This was the rule. The students could only solve the problem by themselves. Winning or losing depended on one's own ability. Students were also a member of the martial artist community. In this era, martial artists enjoyed special privileges. They were not subject to secular law. Even if a martial artist broke the law, it would naturally be settled by martial artists. Ordinary policemen and judges were not qualified to convict martial artists. The martial artists of Lai, Feng, and Tu Long looked at each other, and they didn't say anything. They couldn't intervene in this battle. They could only wait for the students to determine the winner. Ouyang was knocked down by Lin Zhun. At present, Tu Long had 7 people and Lai Feng had 5. Each of them had 1 first-class student and 2 second-class students. Tu Long had 4 third-class students, and Lai Feng had 2. Tu Long had a slight advantage, but it wasn't obvious. Old Hu of Lai Feng roared, "Bastards, fight fiercely for me. If you win, I will report to the Hall Master and give the best performer a reward. If you lose, wait for me to train you hard." The people of Tu Long didn't want to be outdone and said the same thing. The battle below quickly reached its climax. Fu Qingya was dealing with Lei Ming and a third-class student. Meng Dong and Zhang Yi were fighting with two other third-class students. Zhu Haoren was fighting against a second-class student. Lin Jun had knocked down Ouyang Yu the moment he came up, so he was besieged by a second-class and a third-class student. Because they had just joined the dojo, none of the students had the time to practice martial arts. They also didn't have the time to practice weapons. Therefore, everyone was fighting with their fists and feet. These students' basic skills were good. Their fists and feet were strong, and their movements were very fast. Zhao Yang, an old who looked down with some worry. Zhao Yang said, "Old who? The situation is not good. The other side has two more people. Fu Qingya should be able to deal with Lei Ming. With the addition of a third-class student, it would be good for him to not be knocked down." Yes, the main problem is still Lin Jun. Now it seems that Lin Jun will be the first to fall. If he falls, Meng Dong and Zhang Yi won't be able to resist. At that time, they will lose badly. Yes, I only hope that Lin Jun can hold on for 5 minutes. As long as he is not defeated in 5 minutes, we can intervene in the name of protecting the students and stop them from fighting. But I'm afraid these 5 minutes won't be easy to hold on. Not necessarily. This Lin Jun's reaction is very fast. Maybe he can bring us a surprise. At this time, Old Hu's phone suddenly rang. After he picked up, he listened to a few words on the other side. Then he put down the phone and shouted to the people below, "The dojo master has ordered that if you knock down a third-class student, you will be rewarded with 200 points. If you knock down a second-class student, you will be rewarded with 500 points. If you knock down a first-class student, you will be rewarded with 2,000 points. Beat them up." Hearing Old Hu's words, Lin Jun's heart moved. He was actually rewarded with dojo points. Dojo points were very, very important. Generally, they could only be obtained by hunting mutated beasts and selling them at a low price or by donating them to the dojo. Points could be used to buy many goods. Many good things could only be obtained with cash and points. This was also to prevent some good things from falling into the hands of outsiders. Lin Jun wanted to quickly increase his strength. He had a whole set of plans in mind. One of the most important parts was to obtain points. With the cash he had on hand, he could buy some urgently needed items. Since there's a point reward, then I must do my best to obtain some points. The opponent's second-class student is also at the level of a third-class fighter. He is a big threat to me. If it was one-on-one, I have a 100% chance of defeating him. But this third-class student has been in my way. I have to get rid of him first. With a kick, Lin Jun sent a table flying, blocking the second-class student's attack path. In the next moment, Lin Jun appeared in front of the third-class student. Relying on his super-fast reaction, he suddenly dodged at close range. He continuously dodged the opponent's punches. Exerting force with his shoulder, he slammed the opponent forward, causing him to stagger back. Then, he threw out a series of lightning-fast punches. With the crisp sound of bones breaking, the third-class student fell on his back with blood spurting out of his nostrils. 200 points in hand. P.S. The contract situation has finally changed. In fact, the contract was signed before the book was opened. You don't have to worry about not signing a contract. You could just tip me. Chapter 14. With a successful strike, Lin Jun lowered his head, and a wine bottle flew over his head. Without looking back, he suddenly leapt backwards. The opposing second-class student did not expect Lin Jun's reaction to be so fast. He actually collided head-on with Lin Jun. Caught off guard, he was knocked to the ground by Lin Jun. How could Lin Jun miss such a good opportunity? He casually picked up a chair, and just as the opponent was about to get up, he swung it over. Crash! The chair was smashed to pieces, and the opponent fell down again. Lin Jun rushed up and kicked fiercely. Soon, the second-class student was also beaten to the point where he could not get up. 500 points in hand. Lin Jun did not care about the student who had lost his ability to fight. He shot towards the third-class student who was fighting with Zhang Yi and launched a sneak attack. After 4 consecutive punches, the opponent fell to the ground. At this time, Meng Dong's opponent was also knocked to the ground. Meng Dong and Zhang Yi immediately rushed towards the second-class student who was fighting with Zhu Haoren. They all wanted to snatch the 500 points. Lin Jun did not join them. Instead, he quickly approached the battle between Fu Qingya and Lei Ming. There was still a third-class student there. He launched a sneak attack. Relying on his reflexes, he dodged the third-class student's punches and counterattacked several times to knock down his opponent. In this kind of battle, Lin Zhen's reflexes were at an abnormal level. In this way, Lin Zhen and Fu Qingya were fighting 2 against 1. The two of them were fighting against Lei Ming. Lin Zhen, get lost. We don't need you here. Fu Qingya angrily shouted at Lin Zhen. Lin Zhen disdainfully curled his lips. Why didn't you say this when I knocked down that third-class student? Now that the situation is favorable, you want to take all the spoils for yourself? Dream on. Ignoring Fu Qingya, Lin Zhen closed in on Lei Ming. His fists and legs were like lightning as he fiercely attacked Lei Ming. If Lei Ming was fighting Fu Qingya one-on-one, he might still be able to hold on. But with Lin Zhen, he couldn't hold on any longer. Lin Zhen's reaction was too fast. Lei Ming's overall strength was at the peak of a third-rank warrior, and his punches were all successfully dodged by Lin Zhen. Coupled with Fu Qingya's sharp attacks, Lei Ming immediately fell into a passive position. This Lin Zhen is only a second-class student. Why do I feel that he's so troublesome? With a mental lapse, Lin Zhen took a punch from Fu Qingya's shoulder. As he retreated, Lin Zhen seized the opportunity to land 3 consecutive punches and a kick on Fu Qingya's abdomen. Without waiting for him to recover, Fu Qingya had already leaped up and landed in front of him. She threw out a punch with both of her fists, obviously wanting to defeat Lei Ming in one fell swoop. Lei Ming was infuriated. He didn't know Lin Zhen, but he had a long-standing grudge with Fu Qingya. He would rather let Lin Zhen take advantage of him than lose to Fu Qingya. Completely ignoring Fu Qingya's heavy punches, he focused all of his strength on his elbow. Aiming at Fu Qingya's abdomen, he viciously struck out with his elbow. Bang bang! Fu Qingya's nearly 400 kilograms of heavy punches landed on Lei Ming's face. But before he could rejoice, an unbearable pain came from his abdomen. Lei Ming seized the opportunity to finish the battle with a ruthless strike. One had to know that in his previous life, Fu Qingya had faced the combined attacks of Lei Ming and a second-class student for 5 minutes without being defeated. From this, it could be seen how important mental state was to a martial artist. Fu Qingya instantly lost her ability to fight. Her body arched like a prawn. Her mouth was wide open, but she couldn't speak. She lay on the ground, twitching. Although Lei Ming's injuries weren't light, he was still standing. But he didn't have time to rejoice. Lin Zhen appeared behind him like a ghost. His hand chopped at the back of Lei Ming's neck. Lei Ming's body suddenly went soft. Then Lin Zhen grabbed him and threw him over his shoulder. Lei Ming fell. The battle between the 3 people surrounding the second-class student also ended. In the end, it was Meng Dong who knocked out the second-class student. Zhu Haoren and Zhang Yu were both slightly injured. They felt incomparably sullen. At this point, the battle ended. Meng Dong knocked out a second-class and third-class student. Lin Zhen shone even more brilliantly. He knocked out 4 third-class students, 1 second-class student, and Lei Ming, a first-class student. Although the person who severely injured Lei Ming was Fu Qingya was also knocked out by Lei Ming. He didn't bring glory to the Zephyr Dojo. Obviously, he couldn't get any points. Zhao Liang laughed loudly as he came down from upstairs. He seemed very happy, especially Zhao Liang. One must know that Lin Zhen was a talent he discovered. With such a good performance, he also gained face. He came over and patted Lin Zhen's shoulder. Kid, well done. The biggest problem for ordinary students isn't their strength, but their mentality. With your calm mentality, I think you can stand out from this batch of students and be the first to obtain the title of martial artist. Lin Zhen smiled. Thank you for the praise, Brother Zhao. Then, looking at the mess around them, Lin Zhen said, Are we still drinking here? We don't need to care about this place. Everything broken will be compensated by the people from the Dragon Slayers. You and Meng Dong, come with me now. The dojo master wants to see the 2 of you. The dojo master wants to see Meng Dong and me. Lin Zhen was stunned. That's right. I've already recorded the video of your fight and broadcasted it to the dojo master. The dojo master asked me to bring the two of you over first. Lin Jun and Meng Dong looked at each other. They were a little excited. It was already very late, and the dojo master still called them over. Obviously, there was something good going on. Old Hu wasn't so happy. He had discovered 3 students. First class student Fu Qingya had been knocked down on the spot and had yet to get up. Zhu Haoren and Zhang Yi were also injured. Moreover, the 3 of them couldn't even knock down a single student from the opposing team. They didn't get any points. You two, help Fu Qingya up and take him to the hospital. Remember to report to the dojo in 2 days. Old Hu turned around and left the bar. Lin Jun and Zhang Yi followed behind Zhao Liang and walked out of the bar. At this time, a martial artist from the Dragon Slaying Dojo glanced at Lin Jun. Kid, you did well. I hope you can still perform so well after taking the gene serum and entering the wilderness. I look forward to seeing you in the wilderness one day. Zhao Liang's expression suddenly changed. Zhang Huai, you have advanced to a warlord. What do you mean by threatening a newcomer like this? Did I threaten him? Huh, why don't I remember? Zhang Huai sneered and walked out of the bar. At this time, Meng Dong said, Lin Jun, I heard that Ouyang Yu's family has a very good relationship with a martial artist called Zhang Huai. Could it be him? Zhao Yang also said in a deep voice, he is Zhang Huai, known as the Butcher. I don't know if he is related to Ouyang Yu, but this person is vicious and has advanced to a warlord a few days ago. It is very dangerous to be remembered by such a person. Lin Jun, you have to be careful in the future. Brother Zhao, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Let's go. Lin Jun glanced at Zhang Huai's back and said in his heart, even if you didn't come to me, I would have come to you sooner or later. He would never forget his previous life. After Lin Jun became a martial artist, the Azure Sky Dojo was suppressed by the Dragon Slaying Dojo everywhere. Zhang Huai, Ouyang Yu, and the others had humiliated him many times. Lin Jun's father, Lin Jun, had been secretly attacked by Zhang Huai, causing serious internal injuries and death. If Lin Jun were to name the people he wanted to kill the most in this life, Zhang Huai would definitely be in the top 3. Ouyang Yu would not even be ranked. The few of them left the bar and got into Zhao Liang's Great Wall Phantom. The car sped all the way across the river bridge in the city and went straight to Jiangbei District. Jiangbei District was the core of Bingcheng Bay City. It was not only the seat of the Bay City's government, but it was also a wealthy district where all the major martial arts dojos were located. When they passed by the river bridge, Lin Jun looked at the surging river below, deep in thought. In his previous life, Bingcheng Base City finally fell. It happened about 5 years later during a monster attack. Originally, Bingcheng Base City's defense was in place, but the first problem was this big river called Songhua River. The river flowed through the city, and there were water gates on both sides. Several huge iron gates that weighed thousands of tons made it impossible for any large monsters to enter. However, a kind of strange fish that could devour metal had bitten through the iron gates, causing a large number of monsters in the water to rush in and lead to the fall of the base city. Lin Jun did not know if he could change this situation in this life. Right now, improving his strength was the most important thing. After entering Jiangbei District, the number of people decreased. The car quickly arrived in front of Tall Gate. On the 20-meter-long marble wall, the words Zephyr Martial Arts Dojo were written by the number 1 fighter in China, Zephyr Martial Arts Dojo. The car went around the wall and arrived in front of the Zephyr Martial Arts Dojo. Get out of the car. I will introduce you to our dojo master. He is also one of the top 5 fighters in Bingcheng Bay City, Dongfang Jun. He is a 7th-level war god. Meng Dong's legs suddenly felt weak. After getting out of the car, he walked a little bit sideways. He followed behind Lin Jun and said, Lin Jun, I am about to meet the war god. Why do my legs feel weak? Then why don't you go back first and give me your 700 points? I don't mind having more points. That won't do. I calculated just now. You already have 3,300 points, and you still want to steal my pitiful points. I can't let you have your way. Chapter 15. As for Dongfang Jun, Lin Jun hadn't personally seen him in his previous life. He only knew that Dongfang Jun left after Bingcheng headquarters city fell. This person's later achievements were also extraordinary. He broke through the War God realm and reached the Star Realm. The Star Realm was a legend. After reaching level 9 War God, one could absorb the energy of the universe into their dantian and form a star core. Only then could they be considered to have reached the Star Realm. Even now, the majority of people didn't even know about the existence of the Star Realm. Only after the end of the God transformation and the Second Great Change did the Star Realm spread. Arriving at the door of Dongfeng Jun's room, Zhao Yang knocked on the red wooden door. "Come in," a deep male voice said. Zhao Yang pushed the door open and led Lin Jun and Meng Dong into the room. Behind a huge office desk sat a man in his 30s. He was wearing a Tang suit. There was nothing special about his face, but his eyes were shockingly bright. When he opened and closed his eyes, there was a faint divine light, making people not dare to underestimate him. "Head, I brought Lin Jun and Meng Dong," Zhao Yang said, then said to Lin Jun and Lin Jun, "Come and greet the head." Student Lin Jun and student Meng Dong greet the head. "And you guys sit." Zhao Yang brought the two to sit on the sofa. He straightened his back and waited for Dongfeng Jun to speak. "I just saw the video Zhao Yang sent. You two performed very well. You didn't panic when you were in a disadvantageous situation. You calmly counterattacked and turned defeat into victory. This is the most rare quality of a fighter. Especially Lin Jun, you left a deep impression on me." Lin Jun smiled. He wasn't modest, nor was he ostentatious. "To be honest, our Fierce Wind Dojo didn't have the advantage against Changfeng and Tulong and Bingchen. We were even at a disadvantage. As the head, I've always wanted to turn this situation around. Discovering talents has always been the goal of our Fierce Wind Dojo. We've never been stingy with talents," Dongfeng Jun said as he pressed a bell. Soon, a young woman came in and pushed 2 laptops and a computer desk in front of Lin Jun. Meng Dong received 700 points, and Lin Jun received 3,300 points. In addition to the points, you can choose any item from the dojo's intranet as a reward for your outstanding performance. As for the price, Meng Dong can choose any item within 5 million, and Lin Jun can choose any item within 20 million. This is the reward given to you by the dojo. As long as the price does not exceed this price, you will not have to spend a single cent. Meng Dong's eyes suddenly lit up. He could actually choose any item within 5 million yuan. This time, he had to pick carefully. Lin Jun was also very happy. At the moment, he only had 500,000 yuan on him. He hadn't settled down at home yet, and there were many things he needed to spend money on. He really didn't have the money to buy things for himself. With this 20 million free access, many of his plans could be brought forward. When they logged in, Dongfeng Jun said, "In half an hour, I will leave the dojo in the base city. So, if you have any special requirements, it's best to complete them within half an hour. During this time, I can also give you some suggestions. Of course, if you choose ordinary items, the time is up to you." Meng Dong said, "Isn't that easy? It's too easy to choose an item within half an hour." Zhao Yang smiled. "Don't be too sure. It's not easy to choose the most suitable one for yourself in half an hour. Don't be blinded by your choices." Meng Dong was a little unconvinced. However, when he opened the dojo's store, his eyes suddenly widened. "Wow, so many good cars. I really like this Pegasus X9. The price isn't too high either. You could get it for 3 million yuan. Also, there's this Warhawk 5th generation. It has a dual-engine sedan. It's too cool to drive. For million yuan, I can afford it. Also, there's this blue blood saber. It said that it was developed by the Southern Bay City's Ministry of Science and Technology. It's a 3rd-generation product. It's an essential weapon for fighting monsters. 5 million yuan. Should I buy it or not? Ayaya. They even have genetic potions. This is something a warrior must choose. As expected, the official price is 10 million. What if I don't have enough money?" Listening to Meng Dong's incessant nagging, Lin Jun couldn't help but say, "Meng Dong, when you choose an item, make sure you have a clear goal. It won't be too late to buy those cars when you earn enough money. If you continue like this, I'm afraid you won't be able to choose anything in half an hour. First of all, you should set the price below 5 million. You can't afford anything above that. What's the point of looking? Also, the dojo will give us those genetic potions for free. Am I right, Dojo Master? Dongfang Zhu nodded. That's right. The biggest benefit of joining a dojo is that you can get a bottle of all-purpose genetic potion for free. It will be a 100% success rate. This is your biggest advantage compared to those warriors who don't have a dojo. There were two types of genetic potions. One was the all-purpose genetic potion that everyone used. This type of genetic potion could guarantee the success of a warrior's physique optimization with a 100% chance of increasing their physique by 40% to 60%. Occasionally, there would be those with especially good aptitudes who could increase their physique by more than 60%. The other type of genetic potion was based on the warrior's physique. The warrior would take the initiative to request the base's Ministry of Science and Technology to modify it. If this type of genetic potion was successfully matched, the increase would generally exceed 70%. It was said that there was a precedent of an increase of 87% in Bingqing Bay City. As for the increase of 90% or even 100%, Bingqing Bay City didn't have such a precedent. This was because warriors would never understand their own genetic proportions. It was basically impossible to accurately modify the potion. On the contrary, it was more likely that the match would fail and they would completely lose the possibility of advancing. Therefore, very few people would choose to modify the potion. They would use the all-purpose genetic potion to ensure success. For those who used the modified potion, the success rate was less than 20%. Also, the price of the modified potion was not cheap. A bottle of genetic potion cost 10 million, and each modification would cost an additional 10 million. After hearing Lin Zhen's words, Meng Dong realized that he had taken a detour. He hurriedly set the price of the product below 5 million. This time, there were indeed a lot of things missing. He restrained himself from looking at the consumables like cars and focused on researching things that could increase his strength. Lin Zhen's choice was much clearer. As for what to choose, he already had a plan in mind. The first thing he chose was the genetic potion. Others might not know the exact condition of their genes, but Lin Zhen knew. In his previous life, when he was in his later years, he had tested his genes. That was a high-tech test from an extraterrestrial civilization. The test's accuracy was more than 90%. When Lin Zhen's genes were tested, he naturally knew what type of genetic potion was most suitable for him when he was young. Therefore, his first choice was to choose a custom-made genetic potion. A custom-made genetic potion meant that as long as you paid, the Bay City Science and Technology Department would tailor a unique genetic potion according to your request. Of course, if the optimization failed, the Science and Technology Department would definitely not refund you. 10 million per bottle, no bargaining. Dojo Master, if I custom-made genetic potion, the dojo will pay for the 10 million cost, right? I only need to pay an additional 10 million for the custom-made genetic potion, right? You want to choose a custom-made genetic potion? Lin Zhen, you have to choose carefully. If the matching potion is not suitable for you, the 20 million will be wasted. If you fail, it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens for you to use the genetic potion. Dongfang Jun kindly reminded. Dojo Master, rest assured. Since I dare to do this, I naturally have confidence. All right then. Every martial artist has a dream to reach the peak. I cannot stop your dream. The dojo will pay you 10 million for the genetic potion, but you will not be able to obtain the all-purpose genetic potion for free. I understand. Then I will choose a custom-made genetic potion. After saying that, Lin Zhen entered the requirements for his genetic potion on the custom-made page. Genetic potion requirements: strength amplification, agility amplification, reaction amplification, comprehensive genetic potion. Lin Zhen engraved this number in his heart. As long as he matched the proportions, after he took it, the overall amplification ratio would be at least 90%. Chapter 16. Lin Zhen sent the ratio of the potion and transferred 10 million to the base city's Ministry of Science and Technology. Soon, there was a reply. Your order has been received. Please wait patiently for 10 days. After 10 days, we will deliver the potion to your location. The address is confirmed to be the Lifeng Dojo. Lin Zhen, please verify if the information is correct. The information is correct. Lin Jun replied, and the order was completed. After spending half of the 20 million, Lin Jun did not stop shopping. He still had to choose. The second thing Lin Jun chose was a martial art. Every martial artist had to practice their own martial art. Nowadays, it was very convenient to buy martial arts. Almost any martial art could be bought online. After purchasing a martial art, the martial art would be sent to the martial artist in the form of a chip. It was not a book, nor was it displayed on a computer screen. Along with the chip, there was a virtual helmet that was bound to the user's genes. Only the user could watch and learn the martial art. No one else could watch it. This put an end to the situation where one person could buy martial art and everyone else could learn it. There were hundreds and thousands of martial arts. Martial artists had to make the right choice when learning martial arts. They had to choose the most suitable martial art according to their own preferences and habits. The number one martial artist in China, Lai Feng, used a sword. Therefore, many students in the Lai Feng dojo chose sword techniques. The Lai Feng swordsmanship was created by Lai Feng himself. In addition to the Lai Feng swordsmanship, many famous martial artists in China had their own unique skills for sale online. There were even many unknown ancient books. Originally, they thought that Lin Jun would choose sword techniques like most of the students in the Lai Feng dojo. They did not expect that Lin Jun would choose an ancient book. 9-Layered Spear River, Second and Third Layers. 9-Layered Spear River was an unknown book. Currently, the Lai Feng dojo and even the internet only had the second and third layers of the book. As for the first layer, it had not appeared at all. The second and third layers had once caused a craze for learning spear arts. The spear arts recorded in the second layer were indeed broad and profound, but because they did not have the first book as a foundation, it was too difficult to learn. After studying for several years, people discovered that they could not comprehend anything without the first book. This led to the decline of these two popular books. Now, the second layer was only sold for 2 million, while the third layer was only 1 million. The only thing that was a bit expensive was that these two ancient tomes cost 500 points each. This made Lin Jun feel a bit of heartache. There were too many uses for points, so he had to spend 1,000 points just to buy them. Other people might think that this price was too high because without the first book, the second and third books were worthless. Now, no one was interested in these two books on the internet. However, Lin Jun knew that it was not that this set of books did not have a first book. There was a first book, and there was even a fourth book. It was just that they were collected by a person after obtaining them. That person was waiting for an opportunity to sell these two books at a sky-high price. It had to be known that every time a book was sold on the internet, the owner would receive 60% of the price. After the first book of 9-Layered Spear River was released, the second and third book's prices would also skyrocket. This was because this book itself was a super cultivation technique. When the first 3 layers were cultivated to large success, one would have the strength to match the War God realm. According to what Lin Jun knew, the second book's price had risen to over 100 million in the later stages, and the third book's price had exceeded 500 million. Now that he had bought 2 books for 3 million, it was already a great bargain. This was because Lin Jun had only learned the first book of 9-Layered Spear River in his previous life. As for the second and third books, he had never been able to afford them. As for the books after the 4th layer, Lin Jun knew that there were no books on Earth right now. He would have to wait until the end of the 1,000 years of God transformation and the second great change of humanity before they would appear on Earth. However, that day wasn't too far away. There were still a dozen or so years left. In the path of martial arts, spear techniques were the most difficult to learn. As the saying goes, a month with a staff, a year with a saber, and a month with a staff. This meant that one could learn the basics of staff techniques in a month and saber techniques in a year. As for spear techniques, that was something that could be cultivated for a lifetime. It was the most profound. Lin Jun had already learned the first layer. As long as he had a good spear and familiarize himself with it for a period of time, he would be able to recomprehend the first layer that he had learned in his previous life. If he learned the second layer, he would have a good foundation. Seeing Lin Jun choose the second and third books of 9-Layered Spear River, Dongfang Jun couldn't help but shake his head. Lin Jun, This choice is a bit hasty. This book doesn't have the first book, so what's the use of the second and third books? Sigh. Forget it. After you suffer a bit, you'll know that money can't be spent carelessly. Lin Jun nodded to Dongfang Jun. Thank you for your reminder, Dojo Master. However, Lin Jun feels that these two books have some value. I also plan to practice spear techniques, so I'll take them to study. I should be able to comprehend some things. After saying that, Lin Jun went to choose a weapon. In his previous life, he had learned how to use spears and sabers, but he felt that the most suitable weapon was still a spear. Since he had chosen 9-layered spear river, he naturally needed a good spear. A good spear that was truly suitable for himself also needed to be custom-made. Lin Jun currently didn't have the financial resources to do so, so he could only settle for the next best thing and choose a spear that was about the same. A good spear not only had to be valued for its weight, but also for its toughness. It couldn't be too fragile, and it couldn't be too flexible. It would lose the sharpness of the spear itself. In the end, he chose a black dragon spear that was developed and created by the Beijing's Ministry of Science and Technology. It was a second-generation product, and the body of the spear was made of a variety of metal alloys. Its weight reached 150 kilograms, and its toughness was extremely good. The tip of the spear was made of black iron extracted from the Earth's core. It was incomparably sharp and heavy. For the current Lin Jun, this kind of spear was still too heavy. If he advanced to a high-level warrior, it would be easier to use. However, Lin Jun had his own plans. He was now at the level of a third-level warrior. If he cultivated for a few more days, he would be able to reach the peak. At that time, when the genetic potion arrived, he would be able to take it and optimize it. Lin Jun estimated that after taking the genetic potion, he would at least be able to reach the peak of a 6th-level warrior or even a 7th-level warrior. At that time, using this black dragon spear wouldn't be a problem. The black dragon spear cost Lin Jun another 5 million. Now, he still had 2 million in his hands. Seeing that Lin Jun had decided to choose a spear, Dongfang Jun didn't say anything. Every martial artist had their own unique habits. Lin Jun also didn't have anything to say about using a spear. As for the remaining 2 million, Lin Jun didn't keep it. He first spent 1 million to buy the right to use the dojo's Advanced Fitness Center for half a year. The Advanced Fitness Center could train a martial artist's fist strength, speed, nerve reaction, physical fitness, and many other aspects. The training effect was the best. With the remaining 1 million, Lin Jun bought 5 alloy throwing knives, 200,000 each. Lin Jun had his own ideas about buying the alloy throwing knives. He was a spirit reader master. A spirit reader master's weapon could be throwing knives, flying needles, or flying shuttles. Using spiritual power to control this kind of weapon to attack, it could even erupt with more power than a gun. This was the power of a spirit reader master. Long-term training would also be of great benefit to the growth of spiritual power. At this point, Lin Jun had spent all of his 20 million plus 1,000 points to buy the ancient books. On the other side, Meng Dong was also done. He chose the first book of the water-breaking knife technique. There were a total of 3 books, and the first one was worth 3 million. Then he chose a wide-back golden knife worth 2 million. The knife technique was strong and fierce, and it was also very suitable for a warrior like him who was born with divine strength. 5 million yuan was spent, and the two of them ended their purchases. Very well, you've all made your choice. Now you have 2 days off. I hope you can settle your family affairs within these 2 days and then come back to the martial club. Because from the moment you joined the Fierce Wind Martial Club, you've become a member here. You must put the interests of the martial club first. Both of them nodded. 2 days were almost enough to deal with their family matters. Dongfang Jun was about to leave. Zhao Yang took the two of them to say goodbye to Dongfang Jun and familiarize themselves with the environment of the dojo. After staying in the dojo for a while, some of the things that Lin Jun and Meng Dong bought were delivered. Locking the Black Dragon Spear, 9 Heavy Spear River's virtual helmet chip, and other things in their private safe, and carrying the 5 alloy throwing knives with them, Lin Jun and Meng Dong were ready to leave. Well, I will send you home now. Thank you, Brother Zhao. We can go back by ourselves. The two of them didn't want to trouble Zhao Liang anymore. They said goodbye to Zhao Liang and walked home. Chapter 17. Lin Jun excitedly walked back all the way until he reached the alley of his home. Suddenly, he stopped, because he saw a mess on the side of the road. A small breakfast cart had fallen on the side of the road. Steamed buns, soy milk, and other things were scattered all over the ground. There were also some bloodstains on the ground. He was too familiar with this small cart. This was his father Lin Jun's breakfast cart. It was this humble thing that supported Lin Jun's studies for so many years. It was the foundation of their family survival. This scene didn't seem to have happened in his previous life. Lin Jun's heart was in a panic. He looked around and saw his neighbor, Aunt Wong, in the crowd. He immediately ran over. Aunt Wong, what happened? When Aunt Wong saw that it was Lin Jun, she hurriedly said, Lin Jun, you're finally back. Your father was beaten up by a few hooligans and is now hospitalized. He's in the Jishang Chinese Medical Hospital in the north of our neighborhood. You should go and take a look. Lin Jun didn't say anything and turned around to run north. Jishang Hall was a nearby hospital that wasn't very high class. People who came here were all poor. Lin Jun ran all the way in the early morning. The speed of the 100-meter dash was within 8 seconds. He ran all the way and ran all the way to Jishang's door in less than 3 minutes. Excuse me, there's a man called Lin Liye who was just admitted. Where is he now? I'll help you take a look. The nurse at the door opened the book and took a look. Lin Liye, right? His head was smashed and 2 of his ribs were fractured. He was just bandaged and is now in the surgical ward on the 3rd floor. You should go and look for him. Lin Jun didn't even take the elevator. In a few steps, he ran to the 3rd floor and went straight to the surgical ward. When he arrived at the ward area, Lin Jun saw his parents at a glance. Li Qin was sitting in the corridor with an 4-drip in her hand. She was looking for a place to put the 4-drip. His father, Lin Liye, was lying in the corridor. His body was covered with a dirty blanket. His head was bandaged with gauze. There was a patch of blood outside the gauze, and his eyes were closed. Lin Jun's heart was in pain. He hurriedly ran over and took the 4-drip from Li Qin's hand. Mom, what happened? Before Li Qin could answer, Lin Liye opened his eyes when he heard the sound. My son is back. Tell me, how did your graduation exam go? Because Lin Jun had already changed out of his dojo uniform and was still wearing his old clothes, Lin Liye did not know that Lin Jun had already joined Gale. Lin Jun saw that his father didn't seem to have a big problem and felt a little relieved. He squeezed out a smile and said, It's pretty good, Dad. I've already joined the Gale Martial Arts School and become a 2nd-class student. The martial arts school has already signed a contract with me. Not only will I get a salary of 500,000 yuan a month, but I'll also get a standalone villa for us to live in. They've even helped you, too, solve your pension problem. Hearing Lin Jun's words, Lin Liye and Li Qin's eyes lit up. The huge surprise shocked their hearts, and they were speechless for a moment. Good boy, you really are my son. Good cough, cough, cough. Lin Liye's face was flushed. Due to his excitement, his rib injury acted up and he coughed violently. Old Lin, calm down. You're still injured. Why are you so excited? This is a good thing. You should be happy. Li Qin was so excited that her eyes were filled with tears. She kept comforting Lin Liye. Lin Jun also hurriedly patted his father's back. It took a while for Lin Liye to calm down. Dad, Mom, tell me what happened. Also, why are you staying in this corridor? Why don't you go to the ward? Sigh. The nurse said there were no more wards. We didn't ask for a single room. We just wanted to stay in a normal ward. But the nurse also said there were no beds. I saw that there were many beds, but the nurse said they were all reserved. She's bullying us poor people. I saw Lu Baiwan, who owns a big breakfast shop on the street, scalded his hand. He came later than your dad, but he also stayed in a large single room. Li Qin was just an ordinary woman. She was aggrieved and panicked. Now that she saw that her son was capable, she could not help but complain. Lu Baiwan, the one who's been competing with my dad? Yes, it's him. He's been spreading rumors that your dad's meat buns are not good. He even squeezed your dad out of the street. He even mocked and ridiculed us when he saw us. Lin Jun slightly frowned and said to his mother, Well, I'll ask about my dad in detail later. Now I'm going to find a ward for my dad. Wait for me. I'll be there in a while. Lin Liye hurriedly said, Son, don't go looking for trouble. We can't afford to offend those doctors and nurses. What if they charge us more for medicine? Lin Jun turned back and smiled. Dad, today is different. If I can't even solve a ward, your son won't be able to stay in the Lifeng martial arts school. Lin Lie was stunned for a moment. Only then did he truly realize that his son Lin Jun had already grown up. He had already become a person above others, a martial artist who stood high above others. Lin Jun was just about to leave when a young man came over. Oh, isn't this Lin Jun? Why, is the graduation exam over? Which martial arts school took you in? Why aren't you wearing a martial arts uniform? Don't tell me you didn't pass. Lin Jun raised his head and took a look. It took him a while to remember this person. Lu Baiwan's son, was not a good person. Lin Jun didn't have the time to pay attention to him. It's none of your business whether I passed or not. Get out of the way. I'm going to find a ward for my dad. Lu sneered. Then you have to go quickly. As your brother, I have to remind you that you can only find a large room with more than 10 beds. The last single room is occupied by my father. You won't be able to find it. Then I really want to try. If it's not a single room today, my dad won't stay there. TCH, do you have the spare money? Even if you can squeeze it out, there's no single room. You can go if you're not afraid of being covered in dust. Lin Jun ignored Lu and went straight to the nurse's station. He opened the door and walked in. Who are you looking for? Change the medicine? A nurse asked without looking up. I'm Lin Lie's family member. Find a ward for me. I want a single room. The nurse raised her head and looked at Lin Jun. There was surprise and disdain in her eyes. Lin Jun was 1.78 meters tall. He wasn't particularly tall, but his posture was straight and his face was cold. Because of his spiritual force cultivation, his eyes were clear and bright when he was emotional. It was even a little dazzling. Although such a person was dressed simply, there was a strong masculine aura just by standing there. It made people not dare to look at him directly. However, Lin Jun's clothes were too ordinary. The nurse could tell at a glance that this person was definitely a member of the nearby community. He was a member of the commoners, the lowest rung of society. No matter how good-looking he was, he would still be looked down upon if he had no money or power. The nurse pursed her lips. There's no single room. Let's not talk about single rooms. There are no more normal wards. Can't you see how many people are getting injections in the corridor? My father has a head injury and a broken rib. How can such an environment be conducive to recovery? He needs a ward. Lin Jun's heart was already burning with anger. Not to mention that he was now a member of the dojo. He had at least reached the star realm in his previous life. After countless years of accumulation, he felt that ordinary people were like ants in front of him. If it wasn't for his father, he would have already exploded. Unexpectedly, the nurse sneered. You don't like the corridor environment? If you don't like it, you can change to another place. Jiangbei's Bingqing Hospital is better. Can you afford it? Faced with the nurse's ridicule, Lin Jun took a deep breath. I saw a person with the surname Lu stay in a single room after my father. So, let's not talk about whether there's a single room or not. Now, let me ask you something. Can you make the decision about the ward? When he said this, traces of spiritual force flowed out uncontrollably. Although it was slow and his tone was low, it gave people a heavy feeling of oppression. The nurse instinctively became timid. No matter how arrogant she was just an ordinary girl. How could she stand up to Lin Jun, who was about to explode? She lowered her voice. If it's a normal ward, the doctor can make the decision. If it's a single room, the director has the final say. Take me to your director. Lin Jun controlled his emotions. He really didn't want to waste his breath on this nurse. The nurse stood up reluctantly and walked forward step by step. Hurry up, Lin Jun roared. The nurse trembled and walked forward quickly. When she reached the director's office, the nurse seemed to be emboldened again. After knocking twice, she pushed the door open and entered. Director Wong, there's a patient's family member here. He insisted on finding a single room for his father. I told him that there were no single rooms available, and he went to the nurse's station to make a scene. I'm scared. As she spoke, the nurse's eyes turned red. She looked at Director Wong with grievance. Director Wong was a chubby middle-aged man. He did not immediately comfort the nurse. Instead, he asked, Who is the patient? He's not a big deal. He's the old man who sells buns and soy milk in the morning. His son also said that Mr. Liu's family members had a single room. Why doesn't his father have a single room? The nurse wiped her tears and said with disdain. Chapter 18. You're Lin Jun's family member? Director Wang coldly asked Lin Jun. Yes, my father's injury is quite serious. He can't be treated in the corridor. He needs a single room. We will pay the fees as usual. Lin Jun was still relatively polite. For his father, begging others was nothing. Director Wang coldly snorted. Young man, you are still too young. Our hospital has its own rules and regulations. The room has already been reserved. How can you change it just like that? This is not a matter of whether you pay or not, but a matter of principle. There is no room now. If you think you can stay, then stay. If you don't want to stay, then transfer. Lin Jun glanced at Director Wang. When my father came, there was clearly a single room, not to mention a normal bed. But you actually arranged for my father to be in the corridor. Are there many people who have reserved a room? Do they know when they are sick? Since they're sick, why don't they come for treatment? Jixing Hospital is just a civilian hospital. What kind of privileged people come here to see a doctor? Do you think I need to explain this to you? Again, if you don't want to stay, then leave. We really don't welcome you. If you continue to be unreasonable, I will call security. This time, Lin Jun was really angry. He took a step forward and stood in front of Director Wang's desk. I originally planned to find a car and transfer my father to a better hospital, but now it looks like there's no need for that. How could Liu Baiwan from the bun shop be allowed to stay in a single room? Today's room needs to be arranged even if you don't want to. At this time, at the door of the room, Lu suddenly appeared and said to Director Wang, Uncle Wang, this kid is a rascal from 6th High. He didn't pass the graduation exam and came here to cause trouble. You don't have to give him face. Hearing Li's words, Director Wang's heart was more confident. In any case, he had some status. Could it be that he couldn't control a poor kid like Lin Jun? He took the teacup in front of him and squatted on the table. How can you compare with him? I just want to arrange it for you. What can you do? If you don't arrange it, I will let you stay in the room. Lin Jun grabbed the teacup and threw it out of the door. Ouch! Lu was standing at the door. He was caught off guard by the teacup thrown by Lin Jun, and his forehead was hit. Blood immediately flowed out. You dare to hurt people. Too arrogant. Too arrogant. Security, call security. Director Wang really didn't dare to go against Lin Jun, who was young and strong. Trembling, he pressed the bell under the table. 5 security guards. Seeing the security guards enter, Director Wang pointed at Lin Jun. Chase this brat out for me. And that Lin Li, pull out his needles for me. Our hospital doesn't take in rascals like him. Who do you think you are to come here and cause trouble? Today, I'll show you how powerful I am. Lu also shouted from behind, Go. I want to break this kid's arm. If anything happens, I will take responsibility. My family has money. Several security guards rushed forward. Lin Jun sneered and made his move as well. Although martial artists had rules that forbade them from bullying civilians, the difference in strength between martial artists and civilians was too great. Even a martial artist at the level of a student like Lin Jun had a force of more than 300 kilograms with a casual punch. He could run 100 meters in less than 7 seconds. If he were to fight civilians, he wouldn't dare to say that he could fight 100 of them. But if he fought 10 of them, he wouldn't even need to use 2 hands. Lin Jun didn't use his full strength. He didn't even raise his hand. He spun around and kicked 3 times. His kicks were fierce. Without using his full strength, he kicked 3 baton-wielding security guards to the ground. The last one wanted to run back, but was caught by Lin Jun. He grabbed the baton in his hand and hit him. The security guard screamed and fell to the ground. Lu threw the rubber baton in his hand away. He originally thought that Lin Jun was done for. He didn't expect the battle to end just like that. Caught off guard, he was hit in the eye by the rubber baton again. His left eye immediately turned into a panda eye, and he couldn't even open it. Uncle Wang, this kid has some skills. Although he didn't pass the martial arts exam, ordinary people can't beat him. Lu covered his forehead with one hand and covered his eye with the other. Director Wang was a little scared, but after hearing Li's words, he regained his confidence. If it was a student who passed the exam, he wouldn't dare to offend him. But if it wasn't, then it was nothing. Stinking brat. You're dead. You dare to behave atrociously in the hospital. You will be finished soon. Director Wong took out his phone and dialed a number. Brother Long, I am Xiao Wong. Yes, yes, yes. There is a kid who is behaving atrociously in our hospital. He is not a martial artist. He failed the martial arts exam. Come over and teach him a lesson. When you are done, I will call the police and arrest him. This time, I will make his family go bankrupt. Hearing Director Wong's words, Lulu, who was scared just now, became energetic. Uncle Wong, is the person you are looking for the most famous brother Fei Long in our area? Yes, Fei Long and I are old friends. He lives nearby. He will be here soon. Director Wong said proudly. It was as if knowing Fei Long was a great thing. Lulu covered his eyes and yelled at Lin Jun. Lin Jun, you're crippled. Brother Fei Long is from the second high school. If he wasn't sentenced for injuring someone before the graduation exam, he would already be a martial artist. Everyone says that he has the strength of an ordinary martial arts student. Dealing with someone like you is child's play. When Fei Long is done with you, you'll have to go to jail. Fei Long, is he good at fighting? Lin Jun sneered disdainfully. Fine, keep showing off. Let me tell you, it will be useless even if you beg me later. The injuries I suffered today can't be compensated even if your family goes bankrupt. I will definitely teach you a lesson. Lulu stood at the door and shouted. However, he did not dare to come in. Lin Jun's previous 2 blows had scared him. Soon, a person came in from outside. He was bald and wore a tight black singlet in the middle of winter. There was a black dragon tattooed on his head and back. Even his eye sockets were tattooed. A short knife hung on his waist. People avoided him as he passed by. Clearly, they knew who he was. Brother Fei Long, it's this kid. Director Wong was the first to jump out. He was in his 30s, but he called a 20-year-old man brother. It was a smooth way for him to do so. Fei Long walked in and ignored Director Wong. He looked around and sat down beside the nurse. He hugged her and pinched her breast. The nurse was in pain, but did not dare to make a sound. She did not even dare to move. Fei Long's gaze landed on Director Wong. He said casually, which blind person dares to cause trouble at Jixing Hospital? Don't you know that I'm in charge of this place? Brother Fei Long, it's him. He insisted that I arrange a single room for him. He even injured our security guard and Mr. Lu's son. Fei Long glanced at Lulu. Lulu quickly smiled apologetically. Fei Long glanced at him and did not look at Lulu again. Instead, his gaze landed on Lin Jun. Little brother, you're very young. You must have just graduated from high school. Lin Jun looked at Fei Long, so what? Fei Long stood up and sized up Lin Jun. Have you entered a martial arts dojo? Without waiting for Lin Jun to speak, Lulu said, why would he enter a martial arts dojo? He's just a hooligan. He can only bully people like me with his mediocre skills. No martial arts dojo would want him. The graduation exam is over, and he hasn't even gotten a uniform. Fei Long was also testing Lin Jun. He was relieved when he heard Lu Li's words. He staggered in front of Lin Jun. Kid, I guess you also want to be a martial artist, but you didn't pass. Our experiences are similar. Based on this similarity, I'll give you a chance today. If you can clearly see how I attack, and if you can block my attack, you can block my attack. Also, if you survive one of my attacks, I'll let you go and hand you over to the police. What did you say? If I can clearly see how you attack and block your attack, I can go to the police? Hee hee. If you can say that, it seems like you don't know me well enough. I only attack once. If you can block my attack and not die, I'm willing to give you a chance to turn over a new leaf. Otherwise, if you fall into my hands, it'll be much worse than falling into the hands of the police. Director Wong sneered. You haven't even heard of Brother Fei Long's attack. You deserve to be unlucky today. Lin Jun raised his eyebrows slightly. I definitely can't see how you attack. Brother Fei Long was slightly proud. It's good that you know. If you don't want to be attacked, take out 1,000,000. I can't come here for nothing, Lin Jun interrupted him. Because you won't have a chance to attack. What did you say? Slap. Just as Fei Long was about to explode in anger, his vision blurred. A big slap appeared in front of him at lightning speed and landed heavily on his face. Chapter 19. He fainted with a single slap. No matter how arrogant Fei Long was, he was just someone who hadn't joined the dojo. His aptitude was only below average. Why would Lin Jun be afraid of him? Moreover, he was so arrogant. Who else would he hit if not him? Lin Jun lowered his head and drew the dagger from Fei Long's waist. You've seen how I drew my dagger, but what does that mean? Your broken knife isn't even good enough to kill a chicken. Don't show it off. With a swing of his hand, the short knife was thrown out of the door. Lulu, who was outside the door, learned his lesson. He didn't dare to block the door because he was afraid that Lin Jun would throw something out. When he saw the knife come out, he stood facing the wall, thinking that he definitely couldn't be hit from this angle. But who was Lin Jun? He was a spirit reader. With the support of his spirit power, the short knife drew a small arc in the air and stabbed Lu Li's, but it wasn't the left or the right. It was the middle. Lu screamed and knelt on the ground with his legs weak. He thought that he was really unlucky today. The knife was even equipped with a GPS. At this point, if Director Wong still didn't know that he had kicked an iron plate, he would be a director for nothing. This Lin Jun was definitely not an ordinary person. He was definitely a dojo member. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to deal with Fei Long so easily. After figuring this out, Director Wong's attitude took a 180-degree turn. Instant cowardice. Director Wong was also a wily old fox. He knew who he couldn't offend. These martial artists were all lawless people. Their crimes were all solved internally by the martial artists. They weren't under the jurisdiction of the local police. This meant that although the young man in front of him was at fault for killing him, he didn't have to bear any responsibility for the time being. Moreover, Director Wong didn't know any martial artists. Basically, no one would stand up for him. He died in vain. His cold face was instantly filled with a smile. He lowered his head and ran out from behind the desk. The short distance of 3 meters made him look like he was jogging. However, he didn't mention the depression in his heart. He thought to himself, why would a martial artist come to this godforsaken civilian hospital? Isn't this a scam? You really didn't recognize MT Tai. Sir, please take a seat. Please take a seat. One couldn't hit a smiling face. Lin Jun also couldn't stand the way these hospitals did things. The poor couldn't get good medical treatment even if they paid. Since he had already taught them a lesson, Lin Jun didn't want to show off. No need to be polite with me. Hurry up and arrange for a ward. My father must receive the best treatment. As for these 5 security guards, give each of them $10,000. Give the one who vomited blood $50,000. Treat it as my medical fees. Lin Jun was still very cautious. Although he had injured someone, he still had a sense of propriety and paid for the medical expenses. This way, if there were martial artists who came to find trouble with him in the future, they would not be able to use this against him. Director Wong did not dare to disobey. He nodded repeatedly and immediately instructed the nurse to arrange a ward. How can there be no more? Lulu, you dare to offend a martial artist? On behalf of the hospital, I'm telling you that your father, Lu Baiwan, can't be cured. You should go somewhere else. Don't talk about money with me. No matter how much money you have, it's useless. Lulu didn't even dare to raise his head. The right side of his forehead was broken, his left eye was hit with a stick, and there was a knife in his butt. The hospital didn't want to take him in. Moreover, his father was just scalded. What do you not cure? But he could only hold back his words. He didn't even dare to look at Lin Jun and ran away. 5 minutes later, the father and son were rolling and crawling out of the hospital. 5 minutes later, Lin Lie was lying in a clean single ward. It was warm and comfortable. The medicine was also changed to the best. Compared to the Common Era, the greatest improvement in the God Change Era was in the level of medical treatment. This was because people had to fight with mutated beasts and injuries were common occurrences. This was especially true for external injuries. It could be described as being cured with medicine. Bone-setting medicine, bruising medicine, oral and external medicine, as well as anti-inflammatory medicine. Lin Lie immediately felt much better. Dad, the director said that your injuries aren't serious. You can stay here for a day and be discharged tomorrow morning. You can go home and rest. Can you tell me what happened? When Li Qin saw her son's energy and saw that her husband was fine, she became much more energetic. She immediately said, "Let me explain. This is what happened. This morning, when your father set up his stall, for people came to eat. When they arrived, they said that the meat in the steamed buns wasn't good and that the soy milk had changed its taste. Your father has been in this business for almost 20 years and has always been honest with his customers. How could he possibly earn such unscrupulous money? Those people were a little too harsh, so your father couldn't help but retort. In the end, those people hit him." Linjun nodded. These people were clearly looking for trouble, but they weren't martial artists. He had seen his father's injuries. If they were martial artists, the injuries wouldn't have been so light. This kind of thing didn't happen in his previous life, but it happened in this one. This meant that they were affected by him. He hadn't offended many people in the past 2 days, except for the fight with the Dragon Slayers yesterday. If he wanted to talk about offending people, it could only be said that he had offended Ouyang Yu, Zhang Huai, and the others. Did those people say anything else? Lin Jun felt a little guilty and asked Lin Lie. They said, "Let me think." Lin Lie thought for a moment and suddenly said, "Right, those people said that if you're not convinced, you could go to the Black Swan Bar and find them." Lin Jun nodded and said to his parents, "You don't have to worry about this matter. We'll stay here for a day. Tomorrow morning, we'll go home and go to the villa that the dojo gave me. That's Lai Feng's territory. The security there is very strong, so it's absolutely safe." His parents' faces were full of joy. They had lived in the civilian district for their whole life. They didn't expect that they would be able to live in a villa when they were old. If this matter was spread out in the civilian district, it would be a matter of pride. Lin Lie also forgot about his pain and began to excitedly talk to Li Qin about his future life. Seeing his happy parents, Lin Jun smiled and left the ward. Being able to make his parents happy, Lin Jun felt a sense of accomplishment. However, those who hurt his parents, Lin Jun would never let them go. Taking out his phone, Lin Jun dialed Zhao Liang's cell phone. "Lin Jun, what's the matter?" Zhao Liang answered the phone. "Brother Zhao, I want to ask you for a favor. We're brothers. There's no need to be so polite. Just say it." Lin Jun was now the focus of the dojo. Zhao Liang was also happy to befriend him. "A group of people injure my father. They even left a message saying that they are from the Black Swan Bar. Can you help me find out the background of this bar?" "No problem. There's nothing in Bing City that Lai Feng can't find out. Just wait." After saying that, Zhao Liang hung up the phone. In less than 5 minutes, he called again. "I've found out that the boss behind the Black Swan Bar is Zhang Huai. That Zhang Huai who slayed the dragon is known as the Butcher. His underlings are a group of trash from society. They're the ones who do things that martial artists can't do. I also found out that the people who injured your father are his underlings. It's really Zhang Huai. Needless to say, this matter was caused by me injuring Ouyang Yu last night. After losing to me, he actually attacked my family. Brother Zhao, this matter isn't over." "Of course it's not over yet. Lin Jun, we're on the right side of this matter. What I'm saying is that we should arrest the few people who beat him up at the police station. When Zhang Huai comes, we'll talk to them and ask them for compensation. Using peaceful means before resorting to force was the best way for martial artists to resolve disputes." Lin Jun nodded. "Let's do that. P.S. I had a stomachache for a whole day. I was sweating profusely when I finished writing this chapter. It was the most painful I've ever written." Chapter 20. Lin Jun had entrusted this matter to Zhao Liang, which meant that he owed Zhao Liang a favor. After all, Lin Jun was only a junior student and did not have much power in the Bay City. However, when Lin Jun became stronger in the future, he would return the favor. Zhao Liang had even sent 2 junior warlords to protect Lin Jun's parents. It would only take 1 day for Lin Jun to bring his parents home. Lin Jun left the hospital first and went directly to the villa area in Jiangbei. The interior of the 3-story villa had been renovated. The only thing missing was some necessities, such as furniture and appliances. Lin Jun first installed a computer at home and then went directly to the online shopping mall. He had 500,000 yuan in his card. Although it was not a small amount, it was not easy to decorate a villa. After a day, he finally finished decorating the villa. There was only a little more than 100,000 yuan left in his card. The curtains, bed, sofa, carpet, computer, TV, refrigerator, air conditioner, various cabinets, kitchen utensils, and so on all required money. He worked until midnight to complete the preliminary work. It's almost done. Dad will be discharged from the hospital tomorrow. It's best to let them move on their own. Anyway, they don't have to do it themselves. The moving company will do it. This is also an opportunity for them to hold their heads high. It seems that I have to borrow the martial arts school's car tomorrow. I owe them a small favor again. When I have enough money, I will buy another car. He called Zhao Liang again to borrow a car. Zhao Liang agreed immediately. It was already very late. Lin Jun simply rested in the villa for the night. The next morning, the martial arts school's car arrived. Lin Jun drove back to the hospital. Nowadays, cars were very easy to drive. Martial artists did not even need a driver's license to drive. This was the embodiment of privilege. When he returned to the hospital, the logo of the Zephyr Martial Arts School on the car immediately attracted the attention of countless people. As the #1 martial arts school in Huaxia, the Zephyr Martial Arts School was also very famous among the people. People consciously avoided the car to avoid provoking the big shots in the car. Lin Jun got out of the car and went to the ward. He thanked the 2 martial artists of Gale and then paid the bill for the hospital. The hospital didn't cost much. The security guards didn't even dare to ask Lin Jun for compensation. Lin Jun didn't care about their feelings. He just threw the money down and left. He wouldn't let them get something on him over such a trivial matter. However, in this case, he only had around 20,000 yuan in his card. His parents felt like they were dreaming when they saw the Raptor 3rd-generation Jeep of the Strong Wind Martial School. It wasn't until the car reached the ground floor of the residential area that the parents finally recovered. When the car arrived at the residential area, it attracted even more attention. When they saw the Lin family get out of the car, people surrounded them. "Old Lin, your injuries have healed? Why did you take the Gale Martial School's car back? Do you have any relatives in Gale? Why haven't we heard of such a big shot? This car is too cool. It can't be bought without a few million yuan. TSK, you can't buy the same car even if you have a few million yuan. This is Gale's car. Do you know Gale? It's the #1 martial arts school in the country. This title can't be bought with money." Under the envious gazes of the people, Lin Jun coughed and said, "We're all old neighbors. You know that we don't have any big shot relatives. Isn't it because my son, Lin Jun, did well in his graduation exam and was recruited by Gale?" "Ah, is that true?" Lin Jun joined Gale. "Oh my God, old Lin, you're rich now. You raised a good son. There's going to be a big shot in our residential area. Did you see that? You have to learn from brother Lin Jun and try to enter Gale in the future. There's finally a second martial artist in our area. The daughter of the Li family, Li Mengxi, moved away after she was recruited by the martial arts school. I heard that she's living in a villa now." "Yeah, I still remember that Lin Jun and Li Mengxi were inseparable when they were young. Maybe they'll become a couple in the future." Lin Jun looked at the scene and smiled. He brought the people from the moving company to move, leaving his parents to chat with the old neighbors. Most of the things in the house were thrown away. Lin Jun only packed up some old things. After a while, his mother, Li Qin, came up and helped Lin Jun pack up. After packing up, the people from the moving company moved the things away. After packing up, Lin Jun looked at the house. It was finally time to leave. The house here could be sold. Although it wasn't worth much, it was still his parents' property. He couldn't just throw it away. However, he didn't have to worry about this. Once it was sold, the commission would be deducted and transferred to his mother's card. "Let's go, Mom. After you see your new home, you won't miss this place anymore." Li Qi nodded and followed Lin Jun downstairs. After going downstairs, she saw Lin Lia happily chatting with the neighbors. Under the admiration of the stars, she couldn't even tell that he had been injured. After seeing Lin Jun, Lin Lia said to his neighbors, "Goodbye, everyone. In the future, if you have nothing to do, you can come to the Jiangbei Villa District and drop by my house. The 2 of us are quite lonely there. You're welcome to have a chat and drink some wine." "Okay, don't worry, Brother Lin. We'll definitely go to your house to see the world." That's right. But the security there is quite tight. You have to say something and let us in. In the future, we'll have something to brag about when we're outside. There's a big shot in our neighborhood." "Huh?" Lin Jun didn't say anything. He just smiled. After his parents got in the car, He stepped on the gas, and the raptor rushed out of the neighborhood. When they arrived at the Jiangbei villa, his parents were completely shocked. Lin Liye was sitting on the sofa and laughing. He almost coughed because of his injury. Li Qin gave him a hard pinch. "Mom and Dad, here's everything. Here's 20,000 yuan. You can take it first. I think the people from a Bay City will come over today to ask you to fill in the form and take care of your pension. You can buy anything you need online. The security here is very tight. If someone comes to look for you, you have to confirm their identity before opening the door. No one will be able to sneak in. Son, where are you going?" Li Qin was still worried about Lin Jun. "Mom, I'm going to the martial arts center. I'm a member of the center now. I can't stay at home every day. In the future, I won't be at home as much. This is my job. Yes, a man should have his own career. Son, don't worry about me and your mom." Lin Liye seemed to be in good spirits. He estimated that after a few days of rest, his injury would be basically healed. "Dad, don't drink too much. By the way, I've found the people who beat you. I'll take care of it. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, I believe you. But don't fight with others. Don't make me and your mom worry. I heard that those warriors are very scary when they fight. It's normal for people to die. I won't. You have to believe in your son." Lin Jun told his parents how to use the things in the house. The family of 3 had another meal. When it was evening, he drove out of the house and went straight to the martial arts center. Chapter 21. Lin Jun drove all the way to the Zephyr Martial Arts School after leaving the Villa District. As soon as he entered, he saw Zhao Yang. "Brother Zhao, I drove the car back." "Kid, what's the rush? Can't you just send it back tomorrow morning?" "I don't have anything to do tonight, so I came over to train." "Good, you're hard-working enough." "All right, the people who beat your father have just been arrested. They're a bunch of hooligans. I've already told the police to take care of these bastards. According to the law, they'll be detained for a maximum of 15 days. The police chief is from Zephyr, so without my orders, the Dragon Slayers won't be able to get them out within 15 days. Do you want to go over and teach those bastards a lesson?" "Of course, but we'll have to see Zhang Huai's attitude first. We'll talk about it later." "That's fine. When Zhang Huai comes personally, we'll show up and have a good talk with him. Damn it, that brat Zhang Huai has been bossy for too long. This time, he's lost his reason. We have to take advantage of him." Lin Jun smiled. Since Zhang Huai dared to order people to beat up his father, this matter wasn't as simple as it seemed. Currently, Lin Jun's strength wasn't enough. He had to improve his strength as soon as possible and strive to reach the peak of level 3 warrior in a short period of time. Then, he would be able to take the Gene Potion. The Gene Potion was a shortcut for warriors to improve their strength. If the effect was good, he could reach the peak of level 6 or even level 7. Then, Lin Jun would have the capital to establish himself in the circle of warriors. At that time, the martial arts school would undoubtedly pay more attention to him. This was where his confidence in challenging Zhang Huai came from. Lin Jun had previously purchased the rights to use the advanced training ground for half a year. Now that the martial arts school was basically empty, he entered the advanced training ground after parting ways with Zhao Yang. The advanced training ground had all kinds of training facilities. If a warrior persisted in using it, they could comprehensively improve their physical fitness. Lin Jun took off his outerwear and stood in front of an arm machine wearing only a black vest. "I want to reach the pinnacle of a level 3 warrior in the shortest amount of time. Previously, my left fist strength was about 300 kilograms, and my right fist strength was about 370 kilograms. I want to increase the fist strength of both hands to 390 and above. My fist speed is 6 punches per second. I can already be considered a level 3 warrior. As for the most difficult aspect to improve, my reflexes, I'm actually the strongest. Due to the lack of training in the past, my left hand strength is weak. Increasing my strength by 90 kilograms in a short period of time is not something that can be achieved through ordinary training. I need to use the breathing technique. Breathing and expiration method is a very popular training method in the galaxy. When punching, the organs in the abdomen will resonate with the body's muscles. The beating of the heart and pulse will match the rhythm of the punching to achieve twice the result with half the effort. This method hasn't spread on Earth yet. It can be said that I'm the only one who knows how to do it. Lin Jun took a deep breath, then exhaled. He took another breath, then exhaled again. Lin Jun's abdomen was violently moving up and down. He needed to find the rhythm of the breathing and expiration method first. After repeating this dozens of times, Lin Jun gradually grasped the rhythm. His heart and blood pulse gradually formed a rhythm. This method seemed simple, but if there was no one to demonstrate and teach, it would be absolutely impossible to learn. At this moment, the lighting in the room was just right. If there was someone around, they would definitely be able to see this strange scene. Lin Jun's abdomen contracted rapidly, as if his abdomen had collapsed in an instant. Then he slowly exhaled. A white arrow of air was spat out from his mouth. It sprayed out 3 feet in the air and didn't dissipate. His rhythm gradually increased, from 20 breaths per minute to 30 breaths, from 30 breaths to 40 breaths. Moreover, it was still getting faster and faster. It had already far exceeded the normal rhythm of breathing. In the end, one could only see his abdomen rapidly moving up and down, even forming a state of trembling. It's done. Lin Jun suddenly pulled the arm machine with both arms. The speed was extremely fast, and even the rhythm of his breathing was exactly the same as his own. Swish, 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 swish. Both arms moved at the same time. The heavy weights were continuously pulled up and down. The intensity of the muscle training instantly exploded. Maintaining this rhythm, Lin Jun moved crazily, pushing the limits of his body. In less than 3 minutes, his black singlet was drenched in sweat. The muscles of his entire upper body, shoulders, back, and chest were all fully trained. This breathing and expiration method, combined with exercise, the longer I persist, the stronger my muscles will be. However, there is a limit. That is, I can't strain the muscles. It has to be just right. Fortunately, I've used this method many times in my previous life, so I can still grasp this limit. Not only can my muscles be trained to the maximum, but it also won't hurt them. 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes. Lin Jun's breathing slowed down and stopped when it was about to reach 10 minutes. His muscles were trembling uncontrollably because of the vigorous exercise, but it was the best training effect. Lin Jun didn't stop completely. Instead, he swung his arms back and forth to do relief exercises. Otherwise, if his tired muscles suddenly stopped, there would be a certain degree of exhaustion. After about 3 minutes of relief exercises, his muscles gradually returned to normal. While my muscles are in an excited state, I have to practice punching during this period. Moreover, it's not a normal punch, but a punch with weights. After strapping on the 15 kilograms arm guards, Lin Jun stood in front of the sandbag and started punching continuously. 1 punch with his right hand and 3 punches with his left hand. If he wanted to increase the strength of his left hand in a short period of time, he naturally had to increase the intensity of his training. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of the punches echoed in the room like raindrops. His breathing also followed the rhythm of his punches. This kind of interstellar training method was super effective. It allowed his strength to slowly but steadily increase. After continuously punching the sandbag thousands of times, Lin Jun felt that he couldn't lift his arms anymore. Only then did he stop training. Next, a deep squat followed by a 100-meter zigzag sprint. Physical endurance is also an important part of a martial artist. Although it doesn't show in the assessment, in actual combat, insufficient physical endurance can be fatal. Using the breathing method again, Lin Jun continued to train. It wasn't until midnight that Lin Jun finally ended his training. Now I can try out the effect of almost one night. There's no need to test my nerve reaction. What I need to test is my fist strength and fist speed. Arriving in front of the punching target, Lin Jun first tested his fist strength. Left hand, 311 kg. Not bad. The closer I get to my limit, the greater the improvement. The last time I tested, it was 298 kilograms. This time, it increased by 13 kilograms. The effect is very good. Next, right hand, 372 kg. Not bad. The last time I tested, it was 368 kilograms. This time, increased by 4 kilograms. I'm less than 30 kilograms away from the peak of level 3 warrior. Lin Jun punched the target like lightning. The final result was 7 punches per second. Although it's only an increase of 0.1, it's still very rare. In the next training, I might not be able to increase by 0.1 for several times. If I can reach 8 punches per second, then I'll be considered a level 4 warrior. I want to increase my fist speed to 7.9 punches per second in the next training. After finishing his fist strength and fist speed training, Lin Jun didn't immediately rest. In fact, as a spirit reader, he had a great advantage. This was because his spiritual power was far stronger than ordinary people and even ordinary martial artists. He didn't need to sleep so long. It was enough to maintain 2 to 3 hours of sleep a day. The rest of the time was used to cultivate his spiritual power. This was also a kind of rest. The first thing Lin Jun had to do was to control objects. Spiritual power could be used on inanimate objects. Lin Jun was currently at the peak of bronze level. His spiritual power was half a step into silver level. He could already control some relatively light objects. The lethality of a spirit reader is more powerful than a martial artist's fists and weapons. I've practiced this flying dagger control in my previous life. Unfortunately, my spiritual power awakened too late in my previous life. I didn't have much success with it. He placed the 5 flying daggers in front of him. 30 meters in front of him, there was a target used for shooting practice. He released his spiritual power and attached it to a flying dagger. Although Lin Jun's spiritual power cultivation in his previous life was very average, he was still very familiar with the first few steps. Although he was a little rusty on his first try, after more than 10 minutes of repeated testing, Lin Jun finally succeeded in controlling the first flying dagger. Spiritual power was like the string of a kite. The flying dagger was the kite. It was also a remote-controlled kite. It circled back and forth around Lin Jun's body. Go! Lin Jun opened his eyes. The flying dagger drew a stream of light in the air. Like a bullet, it violently hit the target 30 meters away. Gotcha! Chapter 22. It was finally the day for the students to enter the dojo. All the dojos were very busy today. Cars were parked in the parking lot in front of the Gale dojo. The new students alighted from the cars and walked into the number 1 dojo in China. A white sedan stopped in the parking lot, and a young man alighted from the car. He was wearing the Gale dojo uniform with a first-class mark on his chest. This was Shinto Hua, a student from iCity's second high school. Shinto Hua had a head of fiery red hair, and he had a row of white, green, and gold gemstone studs in his ears. He looked very flamboyant. Behind him were a few other students. 2 were second class, and 2 were third class. They were all from second high school and had always followed Shinto Hua's lead. With his hands in his pockets, Shinto Hua walked in front. When he reached the entrance of the dojo, he saw a group of people walking towards him. The person leading the group was Fu Qingya, a first-class student from first high school. Behind him were Zhu Haoren and Zhang Yi'er. Hey, look who I see. Isn't this the genius student from first high school? Fu Qingya. He is also a first-class student and is known as the future star of first high school. Fu Qingya glanced at Shinto Hua and said, Shinto Hua, I didn't expect a turkey like you to enter Gale. Just looking at you makes me sick. You think I'm sick of it? I think you're the one who's sick of it. I heard that a certain first-class student fought with someone from the Dragon Slayers for 1,000 years. He didn't even take down a single person. In the end, he was the one who was defeated. That's really a disgrace to Gale. You? What do you know? If it wasn't for me defending against Lei Ming and another Slayers, Gale would have lost. I am the one who contributed the most. No. As far as I know, the person who contributed the most was a second-class student called Lin Jun. He single-handedly defeated 6 opponents, including Lei Ming. Furthermore, he even received points from the dojo as a reward. TSK. I wonder how many points the future star of first high school got. Ha ha. Oomph. Who does Lin Jun think he is? He just picked up a peach that fell to the ground behind me. Winning or losing this time doesn't mean anything. The days of the dojo have just begun. I will prove who is the number 1 of the new generation of Gale. Although Fu Qingya hated Lin Jun for stealing his limelight, he had to admit that Lin Jun had gained a bit of fame because of the bar battle. TSK. With me here, you and Lin Jun have no chance. Shinta Hua mocked Fu Qingya, whose face was already ashen. He took the lead and walked through the gate of the Zephyr Martial School. Fu Qingya had always been brooding over the results of the previous battle. Now, the Shinta Hua had mercilessly exposed her wound. She was already feeling very depressed. Zhu Haoren and Zhang Yi, who were beside her, did not even dare to breathe loudly. Following Shinta Hua into the dojo, many students had already gathered in the hall on the first floor. This time, the Zephyr Martial School only had 2 first-class students, Fu Qingya and Shinta Hua. There were more than a dozen second-class students and about 30 third-class students. Although Fu Qingya's performance in the bar battle was not very satisfactory, Zhao Liang and Old Hu, who had watched the entire battle, were still very certain of Fu Qingya's strength. His position in the dojo had not weakened by much. As the instructor of the dojo, Zhao Liang stood in the hall and directed everyone to gather. The students had all arrived, and they quickly lined up. There was no need to direct them. The first-class students stood in front, followed by the second-class students, and then the third-class students at the back. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Zhao Liang, and I am in charge of the reception. Welcome to the Zephyr Martial School. We do not need to clap or shout slogans. Everyone who has joined the Zephyr Martial School is a member of the Zephyr Martial School. The Zephyr Martial School will provide you with everything, but you must put the benefits of the Zephyr Martial School first. Don't think that everything is okay just because you have joined the Zephyr Martial School. You still have to face a very important step, and that is to take the genetic potion. You all know what genetic potion is. Before you take the potion, you're all rookies. Only after you take the potion to improve your physique can you be considered a quasi-warrior. Only warriors who have undergone genetic modification have the right to enter the wilderness to hunt monsters. You can't take the potion casually. First, you must reach the pinnacle of a third-class warrior in all 3 physical attributes before you can take the potion. Otherwise, your physique will not be able to withstand the potion's modification. The so-called pinnacle means that your punching strength must reach 390 kilograms or above. Your punching speed must reach 9 punches per second, and your reflexes must reach 0.071/m. Only when you reach the passing mark in all 3 attributes can you take the potion. Among you, Shinta Hua and Fu Qingya are both first-class students. You have already passed the 3 physical attributes and can take the potion now. As for the rest of you, you still need to train for a period of time. The martial school master is currently not here. Before he left, he said that the first person to reach the pinnacle of a third-class warrior will be promoted to a first-class student and enjoy the treatment of a first-class student. Do you all understand? Understood. The students present shouted in unison. They did not expect that the first person to take the genetic potion would receive such treatment. This immediately stirred up their competitive spirit. This was especially true for the second-class students. Everyone's strength was about the same, and whoever could take the lead would be able to take the lead in the future. It's good that you understand. Now, Shinta Hua and Fu Qingya, you can take the genetic potion. Will you choose the all-purpose potion or make your own? If you want to make your own, you'll need to pay an additional 10 million. The dojo will provide the all-purpose potion for free. Fu Qingya and Shinta Hua looked at each other and both chose the all-purpose potion. Although the increase in strength from the custom-made potion would be greater, the chances of failure would also be higher. To be safe, the majority of martial artists would choose the all-purpose potion. All right, each of you will take a bottle of the all-purpose potion. After you take it, the transformation will be complete in half an hour. After that, you can test it again to see how much you have improved. 2 bottles of the all-purpose potion were handed to the 2 by Zhao Liang. The other students revealed looks of envy. The genetic potion was a necessity for every martial artist to advance. No one could do without it. The market price was 10 million, and there were rumors that the price would increase in the near future. The biggest advantage of joining a dojo was to be able to obtain this bottle of potion. If one did not have a dojo, then they would have to earn money to buy the potion. To ordinary people, this was undoubtedly an astronomical figure. Fu Qingya and Xintehua revealed a proud expression, especially Fu Qingya. She even cast a glance at Lin Jun, thinking, so what if you were out standing and fighting in the bar? Didn't I get the genetic potion first? Now I'm ahead of you. But in the future, I will always suppress you. The two of them walked into 2 separate rooms and started the gene optimization. There was no possibility of failure for the all-purpose potion. The rest of the students waited in the hall, waiting for the results of the gene optimization. Gene optimization was to increase a martial artist's cell activity. It was the biggest difference between a martial artist and an ordinary person. Generally speaking, the faster the process, the smaller the improvement. And the slower the process, the more the improvement. The all-purpose genetic potion guaranteed an increase of at least 40%, and it would not exceed 60%. In Bing City, the highest increase was 63%. This was the first dividing line between martial artists. Previously, when everyone was at the peak of level 3, there was no difference in strength. Only at this stage would the gap between martial artists of the same level gradually widen. Geniuses would then have the foundation to challenge those of a higher level. This process would definitely be completed within half an hour. All the students looked at the 2 rooms to see who would complete the optimization first. After 18 minutes, a door opened. The person who came out was Fu Qingya. Zhao Yang said to Fu Qingya, I saw your previous test data. Left fist strength, 3G, right fist strength, 396 kilograms, fist speed, 7, 93/M, reflexes, 0, 0, 71. You have reached the peak of level 3. Now, go and test it and see how much you have improved. Fu Qingya was very confident and came to the front of the fist strength testing machine. Huh! With a loud roar, he punched with his left hand. 596 kg. A large number appeared, and the surrounding students exclaimed in surprise. 390 kilograms of fist strength increased by almost 200 kilograms. This was not a small increase. Right hand test. Fu Qingya punched again, and another number appeared on the machine, 602 kilograms. Fist speed test. Fu Qingya punched continuously, and within a second, a series of numbers appeared. Fist speed test results. Every second of fist strength test, reflexes test. 1 minute later, Fu Qingya's reflexes also appeared. All tests completed. Overall increase of 52%. Strength evaluation. Early level 6 warrior. Optimization successful. The students looked at each other. A bottle of genetic potion was able to raise a peak level 3 warrior to early level 6. What kind of effect was this?